believe we are live. Test microphone. Good. I see game audio. I see footage. Popping my back. Stretch. Definitely was done up till 2 a.m. 3D printing stuff. Then I had to drive all the way home. Okay. Yeah. So, let's continue the story, shall we? We are so close to finishing chapter 1. I have chapter 2 in case chapter 1's conclusion isn't long. I have chapter 2 downloaded and ready to go. And yeah, let's load up. We'll be starting chapter 12. And we looked at all the clues last episode. Move this over. I guess I'd be lying if I said I didn't get any sleep. I tried to stay awake all night, but there were definitely gaps in my memory. I guess I kept nodding off and jerking awake in panic all night. I spent all night hugging the metal bat and sat on the top of the futon I used to barricade my door. Waiting, watching, just in case someone tried to break in through my window. If I left this spot, someone would break through the door, sending the futon flying and attack me. But if I stopped watching the window, someone would break through the glass and attack me. I tried telling myself I was just being paranoid, but I couldn't sleep. The thought of being so vulnerable scared the living daylights out of me. If sleep meant taking the risk, I didn't need it. It was so much better to just stay awake. At some point, during that endless cycle of nodding off and jolting awake, light began to shine outside, but that was it. It wasn't so much the morning as it was just the sun simply having risen. I snuck a peek out through the curtains. Rena was gone. Couldn't see her anywhere, no matter how hard I looked. Finally, I could breathe a deep sigh of relief. The night was finally over. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tired, but I couldn't feel like sleeping at the moment. I still had time, but I needed to make my own breakfast, so I'd better get started soon. Skipping school was also an option. With my mom gone, I'd be easy to play hooky. Honestly, I debated it. The risk involving in leaving my house was incalculable. So staying holed up in here was probably my safest option. But staying here wouldn't solve anything. Mushi-san wouldn't help me without cold, hard evidence. Neither he nor my parents. So, unless I found some sort of proof, these relentless nights would never end. I stretched my body, tilted my head back, and closed my eyes just like I did every morning. That's when I felt the knife slip in. I regulated my breathing and regained my senses. Calm down, Kicha Marabura. Bara. Let's go to school. Let's wait until they say set their trap for me. But that didn't mean I was just going to twiddle my thumbs. I needed to avoid the trap and secure irrefutable evidence. Take note of the plates of any car that drives by. If I see someone suspicious, check their clothes and face. I wasn't just protecting myself, I was preparing myself to turn their attack against them and to retaliate. The tension was similar to when... Rodrigo Fude, hello! How you doing? The tension was similar to when two samurai were both aiming to slay each other with a single motion as they drew their katana. I was not at a disadvantage. I would have a chance to retaliate. I finally felt a bit of courage growing in my chest. Alright, yosh, let's go to school. I tightened my grip to Satoshi's bat. He was the only... I'm horrible? Oh, why are you horrible, Rodrigo? Something happened? He was the only partner I could count on. Satoshi, please lend me your strength. Well, he's dead, so... yeah, get him all the strength you can. Oh, ha ha ha. Your mom couldn't... Oh yeah, well she's a very busy woman, alright? That's definitely that's probably the most unique your mom joke I've heard though. Congratulations. And Satoshi, okay, Dad, and entrust your dying regrets to me, since you were probably murdered. Oh. I'll make sure I dispel them. Busy with me. And busy with you. With renewed resolve, I checked the clock. It was still early. Of course I was going to school by myself today. If I didn't want to run into Rina or Miran, I needed to leave now. The shadowed fragments of the cupboard were still strewn all over the entryway. Right, I meant to clean that up last night, but never got around to it. with the phone call and everything. If my parents came back and saw this while I was at school, I would never hear the end of it. Still, I'd be wasting time if I cleaned up. What the heck kind of... Is that Dio on there? Is that freaking Dio on the bomb? I just realized how you spelled coming. Ah. Well, that's one sure way to start the stream. What would happen if I ran into Reno and Mian? It wouldn't be too late to clean it up after I got home. Making extra certain that the doors were locked, I left the house. My uniform... I'm not gonna lie, this sounds exactly like something my little sister would play on piano, the music. And so for a moment, I thought she was playing the piano. It's like, wait, I'm in an apartment. She doesn't live here. My uniform was still covered in mud from yesterday, so I left it in the wash. Me when watching JoJo. Yeah, JoJo has that effect sometimes. I need to finish it. I need to get caught up. So behind on everything. I was gonna use this spring break to get a whole bunch of good work in, but nope, slacked off. I didn't watch any anime. I feel bad. Well, I still have today and tomorrow. JoJo fans when That do be how it is. My uniform was still covered with mud from yesterday, so I left it in the washer. Today I was going to go to school in a tracksuit. By wearing a different outfit this morning, my mind was forced to accept that today was different from yesterday. I had a hunch. Today might be the day I get killed. Keep your guard up, Kichimabara. The only one who gets to decide if today is my last is me. Okay, if it works like that. The end. Bum bum bum. Practicing my swang. I spent the morning practicing my swang like it was my natural routine. Me when I bring Florida food to the picnic, it's on fire. Is Florida on fire right now? Is that a new joke going around? Or is that just like the usual Florida is a mess of chaos joke? That my natural routine. After a while, Rena arrived at school. Our eyes met, but we said nothing. Rena said nothing about last night, as if it never happened, but I could see that those events were real by the wounds carved into her fingers. I just heard her telling Satoko and the others that the bandages were from hurting herself in the kitchen. Though it wasn't like it bothered me. The details that Aoshia shared about Rena's incident before her transfer played vividly in my mind. Now that I knew about it, I couldn't even dream of Rena as a cute, ideal girl. She said, "Do you hate furries?" No, in fact, one of my, my fourth friend is a furry. I do. Explain why. Huh? I definitely know I ain't, though. I can't even imagine getting in those freaking suits. Freaking mobile ovens. Kitchen, I can see you're still aiming for the nationals. It was Mion. It had already... I read that one. I had already sensed her approach, so I wasn't that surprised. Okay, that one's gonna get a little held back. But the ones on DeviantArt, maybe. I was smart. Maybe the ones on DeviantArt, but not all of them. Oh, Mion, if you understand, then leave me alone. I'm busy practicing. I gave her a curt reply without my usual jokes. Then I gave the bat an even larger swing, tactically keeping Mion from getting any closer. Hey, Kichan, take it easy. I think Mion got the message, but she still urged me to give it a rest. Homeroom's not that far off, is it? Just let me finish practicing. I swung the bat even harder as a sign of my refusal. Kichan, when did you get into baseball? Just recently. Italy. Is that like a printing machine spitting out spaghetti? Do they have that? Maybe I gotta give Italy a try. Usually you mean yesterday? Don't ask if you already know. Oh dear. That's a very unsportsmanlike reply. You're distracting me. Go away. I ignored Mion and kept swinging. Apparently she's impressed with my swang. Normally she'd get mad or bored and leave if anyone gave her the cold shoulder like this, but Myun just stood there, waiting patiently for me to stop swinging. I've been studying the art of emote combos. It's definitely paying off. I didn't sense any hostility, but we were at school in plain view. I doubt she'd suddenly attack me here. Or was that too naive? Maybe the kindergartners are in on it! The juice boxes could all have cyanide and needles in them. Oh no. I gotta start punching these kids. Now here comes my best combo. Uh-oh. Still, I was starting to get tired. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to take a break and hear her out. You need me for something, right? What is it? Sweat poured from me as I stopped swinging. I noticed my shoulders were heaving as I breathed. I cursed my lack of exercise. At this rate, I might not be able to move as needed when the time came. I should probably keep practicing my swing to build stamina in addition to the excuse of carrying the bat around with me. Is that it? Just salt, sugar, cocaine? Do I have feats now? No, I do not. Unfortunately, I have not animated those. I have drawn a drawing of them. They're on my Twitter if you can find it. Ah, I just a hair got in my eye. Ow. No. I should probably keep pressing my swing to build up stamina in addition to the exercise for carrying the bat around with me. Well, it's nothing important. If you're tired, I can ask again later. That was fine. Is that just dead? It's the dead emote. I'm only dealing with you right now because I judge the situation to be safe. Talking to you alone and away from others? That's out of the question. Well, Myun was uncharacteristically trying to choose her words. But unlike Higurashi, it didn't look like she was going to talk about something I'd rather not hear. Myun was puzzled, trying to find the right thing to say. But then she gave a hearty laugh to break herself out of the mire. This old man's just no good. Oh, I'm not even giving her a voice. I just realized that. I think I've mastered the bait with Rule 34. Gosh dang it, you just made me say it. You got me with that one. Okay. This man's just no good at this stuff. Having a poor vocabulary hurts. What's this all of a sudden? If you have something to say, just say it. Stop it. Stop that swinging. She cut straight to the point. Her request was so frank I didn't understand it for a moment. I had already stopped swinging to listen to her, hadn't I? I just stopped, didn't I? That's not what I meant. I want today to be the last day you swing that bat. I'm sorry. It took me some time to understand what she was asking for. What's wrong with swinging bats? It's a cultural unnorm. The new fishing rod enchantment on Minecraft. The master. Speaking of, I was going through the Minecraft server today as I was getting ready for the stream. I got like freaking 16 fishing rods, and I combined them all into one mega uber enchanted fishing rod. Maybe I'll name it that. The master insert what you said. Why? It's none of your business. None of your business, is it? The mega rod. Stupendo rod. I'm not bothered anyone, am I? You are. Myun said it flat out. This didn't make any sense, and that was really irritating. When did I bother anybody? Well, now. Myun was a loss for words, but she finally made up her mind and spoke, though she stuttered as she said it. Because, Ki-chan, that's someone else's bat. You shouldn't borrow it without permission. It was left behind by a student who transferred, right? I'm just borrowing it until he comes back for it. Yeah, he transferred. Myun grew uncharacteristically flustered. Aha! Checkmate. Bro, that game has too much text. Well, it's a straight text game. It's basically just a graphic novel. I'm essentially just reading it. But it does have an anime, and the remastered version, the redone version came out last year, and so I wanted to play the game, or read the graphic novel, in preparation for it. Your English teacher has that game? Oh, your English teacher has a fine taste, because this is my all-time favorite anime. Me and Gru uncharacteristically flustered. So I kind of know the ending. I know all the answers. So I'm like, ooh. I'm getting excited and this and that. It's a long freaking game. This is still chapter 1, and I've done like 6 2-hour streams of it now. You just see, the Holy Bible has less text than that. I think you're right. Myung grew uncharacteristically flustered. That made it all too clear that this transfer was a lie. But strange, isn't it? For the older brother to transfer by himself, while his little sister stayed behind? Myung couldn't hide her reaction as my words shook her. Kishin, you knew? Satoshi who? Satoka's older brother, right? One demoned away last year? Unable to respond to that, Myun fell silent. Rina asked the same thing. Why did you start swinging that bat? She told me Satoshi did the same thing, practicing his swings right before he went missing. So, is this some kind of omen of Ashura-sama's curse? What are you doing, stepsister? Go read it. Myun panicked and looked around. Please, Kisha, don't mention Ashura-sama so recklessly. I don't believe in him, but the others very much do. Rina especially. Dangerously so? Anyway, oh dang, she looks pissed. You're scaring everyone. If you're just fooling around, then stop it. You have to stop acting like Satoshi. I was the one who was scared. Who do I have to thank for taking up this bat in the first place? But it still unsettled me knowing that my actions were overlapping with Satoshi's. It would be one thing if someone suggested it, but I thought it was making my own decision. I'll say this now. I don't know anything about Satoshi. After all, you didn't tell me anything about him. We didn't mean to hide it. You were hiding the incident that happened every year, weren't you? Fetch me there. What the heck? What kind of message is that? Bring me there. Oh gosh. You were hiding the incidents that happened every year, weren't you? That's because we didn't want to, you didn't want to scare me. That's your reason for leaving me out? No, we didn't mean to. Bring me... No. You ain't getting it. Myun, I asked you directly if something happened at the dam, didn't I? And you told me nothing happened. When someone was dismembered and murdered, you lied to me. No. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie to you. Friends don't hide things from each other, right? Isn't that right? Then you all aren't my friends. Myun looked helpless and flustered. Was I imagining the tears in her eyes? I ran out of... Dude, how did you run freaking out? Calm down. Tape your hands behind your back or something, I don't know. Myun looked helpless and flustered. Was I imagining the tears in her eyes? I never could have imagined Myun acting like this. Oh, by the way, those get well mochi you brought the other day? They were good. I thought I was going to bleed. Who did it? You? Or Rina? Out of order. Me. She admitted it so easily. I couldn't help but be surprised at how easy that was. Could have killed me. How could you do that to a friend? But it was just a little prank. Myun gave me a wry smile mixed with confusion, causing even more anger to well up inside me. You think that was a prank? I grabbed Myun by the collar and lifted her up. Holy cow! Looks like turn my... The radiation from Alexa, the 5G. It's all connected. That wasn't the same as putting Tabasco sauce in a piece of mochi. It was a needle, a sewing needle. If I had swallowed that and it lodged in my... What did she think could happen? Myun's face froze as her body rattled in fear. This wasn't the Myunsuke I knew anymore. Anyways, you're not my friend. There's no reason for me to listen to someone who's not my friend. So just leave me alone for a while. Got it? Myun wasn't replying anymore. It won't be that easy to erase me, you know. The cops have been onto you from the start, so don't think you can make me disappear like you did Satoshi. I said it clearly. This was my declaration of war. They unzipped themselves? Oh, that is not an image I needed to see in my mind. No. This was declaration of war. I think you guys are suspects in the previous instance too. I also know you spent a lot of time with the cops ever since the anti-dam movement. Don't think you can hide it from me, got that? How did you know? Mune stood there with dumbstruck look on her face. I have some cursed text. Are you copying this, or is this all coming from you? That was when I heard the principal ringing the bell for school. It was time for morning homeroom. Let's go, the class representative needs to be there, right? At that moment, for the first time, I realized Mune was sobbing as tears ran down her cheeks. You're so mean, Keisha. Man, I wanted to console her, but I shut my mouth. I had no need to feel guilty. I'm going. Don't be late for homeroom. I left Mune still shaking as I turned around to head for the entrance. I'm a Reddit enjoyer. Nice. That does seem like some other stuff. Proceeds to unpregnate. What? Oh gosh, that one's by far the most cursed one you sent. I had no idea how troubling it was to make a girl cry. Behind my back, I could hear her muttering. It was a faint mutter as she was speaking to herself. Dang, I was unholy. Unholy's your Bible? By making it holy. Oh gosh dang it, and that one's gonna be a kingdom downgrade for me. So that's how it is. Unvirgins the virgin oil. That's how it is, huh? She wasn't saying it anymore. It was Mune talking to herself. But it was sobbing voice that had kind of a giddy cursing tone. I inadvertently stopped and turned back towards her. So it was that. He leaked it all to Kichan. She balled up her fist as her tears continued to rain down. She glared at a spot at the ground with a terrifying yet smiling face, cursing. Fuck, mother, fat, mother, big, tubby, mother, damn, supporting mother, and a chill ran down my spine from the demonic expression. This transformation, was different from Mina's. Should have killed him back then. He forgot the mercy I showed him just because he was going to retire this year. Oh shoot, that's just straight up admission. Retiring this year. Was she talking about Oshi-san? Not the tubby man himself. Darn it, I'm going to kill that darn old man! It felt like the air itself had began distorting. Where is the lamb sauce, he says while blushing and doing this. With Mune at the center, the world had begun to twist and spiral. Bending. Whirling. This was the first time I'd known no experience such as visage. Rise! Attention! Mune made up an excuse for her red eyes by saying there was something wrong with her contacts. After that, neither Rina or Mune spoke to me for the rest of the day. Neither Suko nor Rika-chan looked me in the eye. Strangely, I didn't feel hurt. Everything had just went back to the way it was. The month since I transferred in had been almost too much fun. That was all. School was supposed to be something like this, to begin with. I should have disliked that feeling, but today it felt oddly refreshing. The bell rang. Sound. See, let me set the mood, babe. Plays the PlayStation 2 intro. Frick. Pair that up with the Xbox original startup. That's mine. That's my sound. I'm gonna do it too. The bell, if I ever do. The bell rung, sounding. And that just made me depressed saying that. The bell rang, sounding the end of the mountainous school day. Monotonous school day, which had felt so tense yet so dull. Since it would cause a lot of unpleasant memories if they asked me to join in the clever tunes, I promptly started preparing to go home without even looking at them. I stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag, wrapped my hand around Satoshi's now familiar bat, and began heading toward the entrance. I was assailed by both the exhausting relief that nothing had happened today and the tiring possibility of the same thing repeating tomorrow. But deep down inside me, far beneath in the recesses of my heart, aching, I knew this would be the last day of this cycle. I couldn't tell how the ending would be, whether it would end as I wished it to, or or if it would end as I hoped it wouldn't. Regardless, in my current state, there was something more important than how things would end. There was something I wanted to know. Why did I have to be killed? How did it come to this? Why? For what purpose? The sunlight was relentless. The sun, the heat, even the air. They wouldn't give me my answer. Or could it be that the cries of the Higurashi were desperately trying to tell me something? See, get the out. That's what they're saying. Some more mixed in their shrieks. Tomoka-san and Satoshi. Oh, Tomoka-san, rest in peace, my rippling angel. He's a JoJo character in my heart. And Satoshi were also probably trying to tell me something. In ghost form. And I simply haven't been able to realize it yet. When I do realize it, I wonder if I will be amongst the Higurashi fruitlessly crying to the next victim. That's an interesting. That's the afterlife. You can just get born into Higurashi bugs. Glancing down at my feet, I saw Higurashi on its back spamming weakly. Weep, weep, weep. Yeah, that kind of matched with the music. But with the background. There was still much of the summer left, yet this one was already chirping its last song. I couldn't tell what it was saying. No matter how hard I listened, it's a bug, man. When is the update added to FNAF? You gotta go to VR chat for that stuff. Well, actually, no, there actually is an NSFW FNAF game. Okay. It's anime art style. I don't remember what it's called. But let me just say, when you die death by snoo snoo. And like the newspaper says, died best way possible. Not that I would know or anything. But I had to try. I had to try to listen to what it was desperately trying to tell me. Kill me. At that moment, the shrills of the Higurashi ceased all at once, as if they had huddled together, fearing that the person who'd brought them to their dreadful fate had arrived. In FNAF collection, there was no doubt that exists somewhere. There was no mistaking it. A presence was approaching. The sound of footsteps was almost non-existent. If the Higurashis hadn't warned me... Where? DeviantArt. Other sites. I mean, seriously, I bet you could just Google it, and it'd be like the first top result, top of the line stuff. Probably a bunch of people's Patreons, too. You'd have to go through that paywall. I wouldn't have noticed. My exhaustion left me. It's so weird that I'm trying to... this intense moment of this character, and we're talking about FNAF NSFW. Okay, but I have to go to the bathroom. Alright. I'll keep an eye on the door while you take that 30-minute bathroom break. No one shall intrude. My exhaustion left me in the heartbeat, in its place was a rush of adrenaline that sharpened all my senses. I could taste color, I can hear my fear. I was just barely able to hold back the creeping, suffocating feeling of horror. It wasn't something I could... Okay, thanks. It might be longer, though. Alright. I start paying by the hour, though. It wasn't something I could hold back for long. But in this moment, when I needed to be razor sharp, I was able to retain my composure. I wasn't going to shout like I did yesterday. Instead, I cried. I broke down and cried. I hid myself calmly amongst the trees, waiting for my pursuer's shadow. Could I get them to pass by me? If they're close enough to hear their sounds, footsteps, they're probably too close. Also, apparently, hundreds of years ago, or thousands of years ago, apparently human hearing was so good that people were able to tell how big an army was marching. At least experienced people would be able to. But now it's like I can hear people 2 feet behind me. No, I probably was able to hear mine. They might have already been able to tell that I'd hidden myself and was holding my breath. So I put a bunch of Higurashis in my shoes, and I taught them how to walk in my pattern as they went down the street, buzzing with their weep, weep, weep. Person tailing me. Was it Rena, just like yesterday? If it was Rena, I wouldn't hold back. I could just yell at her and make her go away, like yesterday. If it wasn't Rena, it would depend on how they acted, I guess. The footsteps ambled closer. I swallowed, wiped my clammy hands on my pants, and readjusted the grip on the bat. I couldn't tell that the fear that I had beaten back once was now waiting for another opening to come at me. Who could it be? I peeked out from behind the tree and at the person following me. I knew it! My imagination hadn't led me astray. It was Rena. She was all for just. She had mochi in her mouth, spewing. A bit of relief as I realized it was someone I knew, but that feeling left me in an instant. This wasn't the same Rena that I knew. Her eyes were dark and lifeless, but her mouth appeared as if it was carved into a crescent. Yet it looked like she was grinning slightly. And in her right hand was an axe. Oh. Kinda hot, not gonna lie. Slightly turned on. Oh, this is a weird stream. Thanks a lot, Rodrigo. I hid myself behind the tree once again and recalled the unbelievable sight I just saw. What was that just now? The embodiment of terror laid bare. Women, I know. Baseball practicing my swing, there were tons of excuses for me to be carrying a bat. But for the axe? Well, everyone knows Rena just carries around axes. That's normal. There was no excuse for that. An axe, just like that. Kicha-kun, are you playing hide and seek? I wonder. My heart was pounding, hard enough that I had trouble breathing. What little composure I had been able to hold on to was now crushed in its place. Cold sweat gushed forth, covering my entire body, letting me know precisely what kind of emotion had taken hold. No, not good. I wasn't able to hide myself completely. She already knew I was here. Were you trying to scare me, I wonder? I decided that I would be better to reveal myself now, since there was still space between us, than to allow Rena to come any closer. I adjusted my grip on the bag and readied myself mentally and stepped out from behind the tree. I started twirling it around like a lightsaber. Little did she know I had mastered all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. Just I can't do girls' voice. I found you, Ki-chan-kun. Rena was pleased that she found me, delighting a mysterious giggle. Her mouth was smiling, but her eyes told me she was displeased by the fact that I had been hiding. Those eyes, they were just so empty. My legs began to quiver, much like pudding. Ah, not good. In the pit of my stomach, some sort of vicious hot and cold substance began spreading around. If I allowed it, that substance would slip into my bloodstream and undoubtedly freeze all the organs in my body. I'm not sure that's how the body works, but okay. Not good. I'd be devoured by Rena at this rate. Strike back. Don't lose. What is just sucker punch? What is it? I blustered, hiding behind my bravado. What is it? But Rena didn't flinch one bit. Just the same as Ki-chan-kun. I'm heading home. Then what about the axe? Then what about the bat you're holding? I'm practicing my swing. Okay. I didn't even read that part. I'm practicing my swing. Then I'm treasure hunting. Rena gave a flippant explanation as to why she had such a fearsome weapon. Treasure hunting? At the treasure mountain near the dam site, I found a new cute thing. So I needed this to dig it out. It's inside your skull. How could I believe that? You wouldn't believe it, would you? Rena's... Yeah, she started to laugh like Peter Griffin of that American show, Family Guy. Rena's laugh was obviously very strange. I had seen Rena transformation many times before, but one today was completely different. Like her mischievous tone and the shrewd glint in her eyes. I want to try doing the full psychotics laugh, but I have roommates and neighbors. It wasn't something that roundabout. I'm not sure what to say. It was just so obvious. Wait, Ki-chan-kun? Rena didn't stop walking even as she let out the eerie laugh. Whenever Rena got too close to me, I would scurry away and turn back towards her. This cycle repeated over and over again. Dude, just book it. You've been practicing your swing and your stamina. Book it. No matter how you looked at it, I was being chased by Rena and trying to escape. She takes 2 steps, she's like, eh. Takes another 2 steps, like, eh. Don't follow me. I can't do that. My house is this way after all. Stupid boy. When I met with Rena on this road yesterday, she cowered and trembled as she followed my commands. But today was different. Rena didn't show a hint of trepidation? Actually, wasn't I the one who was cowering? If the way home for Rena and me was the same, that's fine. I just changed my route. That'd work out, wouldn't it? Shortcut! Just walk straight off a cliff. Just, I turned onto a side street I'd never been down before and knew little about. Marina saw me do that and followed me while laughing. Why? Why? Why aren't you going home? Shoo! Go! Just get a little spray ball, just go away. Then just go home down the street you normally do. Why would you follow me down this weird little side road? Those thoughts screamed in my head, eventually spilling out my mouth. Why are you following me? The tone of my voice was already tinged with terror. Because I want to talk to Ki-chan-kun. Ki-chan-kun wants to talk to Rina too, doesn't he? Doesn't he? I don't want to talk about anything with you. That's a lie, isn't it? There's something you want to ask me about, isn't there? Not at all. I have nothing to talk to you about. That's a lie, isn't it? It's not a lie. Lies! Lies! You're telling me lies, Ki-chan-kun. Nothing but lies. Rina screamed and echoed, startling some nearby birds into flight. I cringed in fear. The only other thing that I could do was increase my pace. Lies, 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 lies. Let's talk, Ki-chan-kun. Talk. 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 Let's talk. While I was running down, I'm back from my bathroom break. I finished math. Alright, and, so how was Roxy? Why was I running down the unfamiliar road, deserted street? Doesn't Ki-chan-kun have something he's worried about? Nothing at all. I'm not worried about anything. Lies! Even though I was running. Good. She is good. I thought so. Even though Rena... Wait a second. Rodrigo. Doesn't this make you a furry? Huh? Have you crossed the road? Because that's how it started for some people. It's a simple 5 Nights at Freddy's Google search. Why wasn't I getting any farther away? I know, I really do know. You're scared, aren't you, Ki-chan-kun? I'm not scared. I'm not scared of anything. Lies! Lies! Lies. My breathing grew heavy and it felt like my legs were giving out from beneath me. Rena wasn't even breaking a sweat. Well, she's kind of walking. You're the one freaking out here, buddy. I'll listen. This time, I'll listen. I had no idea what she was talking about or what exactly she wanted to do. This time, I'll listen. It will be different from the time with Satoshi-kun. When she said Satoshi's name, I turned back for a moment. And as I did that, Rena was still advancing. I couldn't afford to stop. Fell from a high place. He committed gravity-assisted life ending. In Minecraft, that is. Satoshi was worried too. It looked like he was having such a hard time. But I didn't listen. I was so sad. Where did the street connect to? All these twists and turns, ups and downs? It was hard to believe that this was even remotely in the direction toward my house. You went down a path you didn't know, you dingus. If I furry dead. My sense of direction had long since gone out the window. I really regret it when Satoshi transferred out. I thought that if I had listened, he may not have transferred out. I really regret that him transferring out. Now I'm just in the straight freaking woods. The road led me deeper into the forest. Wasn't I getting farther away from the village the more I ran? I lost more and more of my composure the more I thought about it. But despite this realization, my inner self was still disturbingly calm. So you see, I vowed that if there was someone struggling like Satoshi did, I'd save them. I don't want to see anyone transferred out again. Not again. Transferred. Darn it! What does transfer even mean? I don't know. I don't speak good words. I won't let you transfer me. I wouldn't end up the same as Satoshi. Come on, Chikatu, talk to me. Let's talk about our feelings. I'm getting some bad vibes. I'm an entropath. I can tell that there's some bad vibes going on between us, Kichunku. Can't you feel it? I'm your ally, your ally, blah. There is 3 things that if I become, I will kamikaze the ground for... First you need a plane to do that. I started wheezing out of breath. My lungs were so hot that they felt like they were going to explode, and my heart was beating as hard as it possibly could. I'm just imagining he's just laying on the floor, just going, he's just having like a panic attack right now. I should have practiced running instead of my swing. That's what I was thinking. Hence why I was a track star in school. Well, not star. That gives me way too much credit. I was always in the first few ranks, but that's because everyone was too fucking scared to go against the steroid-using kids. And everyone just pushed me to the front. If I get both, I unlock a new achievement called No Father Figure. I couldn't even afford to scoff at that stupid thought. If Kichan-kun doesn't have anything to worry about, he'll go back to normal. Everything will be back to being friends, and we can enjoy club activities again. And next time, we'll team up and beat Michan. Victory! Yeah, how much fun that would be. Rina couldn't even imagine how much I had wished I could turn back the clock on these past few days. You could be nice to me again. Too, I want to go searching for treasures. Again, this time I'll prepare a nice lunch. Actually, we could just go right now. Let's go up to the dam site together. Oh, hold on. Alright, sorry. His roommate had to talk to me or something. People are collecting donations of plastic bags. Never heard of that. But yeah, I have a huge bundle, so I was like, yeah, I can take them. And I seen the damn site together. I'll show you the cute thing I just found. I'm sure you'll like it too. Oh, I'm good, yeah, I'm good. My footsteps made pathetic flapping sounds. My legs wobbled and faltered. Let's collect plastic straws to give to the turtles. You know, if we just stick them in the right places, like in their nose, they can be used as snorkels. I had to accept it. That's what they're trying to do, I think, and they're just doing it wrong and choking on them. I feel if we just taught sea turtles how to properly use a snorkel, it wouldn't be a problem anymore. I had to accept it. I was on the run, being chased by Rina. If she caught me, it was all over. I realized it instinctively. I couldn't even begin to think of what the end would entail. Just that if I was caught, it was all over. That's all I knew. It didn't matter how it was going to end. I wouldn't let it end. Not without knowing anything. Not yet. Not yet. That momentary lapse was all it took. Of all the things that could have happened, my knees buckled underneath me, and I crumbled towards the ground. Oh, she broke his legs. I tried to stand frantically, urging my legs to respond. Come on, Lefty, don't you give up on me. Or if the turtles are quirky, we can stick up his or them. And they can blow bubbles out them and use them for transportation, maybe. Oh gosh. I used my bat as a makeshift cane to prop myself up, but Rina was already standing right in front of me. Compared to me, out of breath and utterly exhausted, Rina was so cold and composed that she could have froze the air around her. She wasn't breathing hard at all. Rather, I couldn't even sense if her heart was... How can you sense if someone's heart is beating, buddy? Do the bugs tell you this? Like, he is out of... I get it, like, he's scared. She was walking the whole time. And you're out of breath. Like, how... Were you, like, speeding up and stopping? Like, you're taller than her. Like, walk normally and you'd outpace her. Russia when Stephanie, 11-year-old, tweets, "No war, please." Please, no war. She could have frozen, was beating. Are you afraid of something, I wonder? It's not like you tremble. Her expression looked almost affectionate. Those soulless eyes, that mask of affection. As she admonished me for trembling, Irina's hands deftly slipped over her head. Her blur of arms as they moved made me feel as if I was staring at the godliness of a thousand-armed Buddha. She's doing her shadow clone jitsu, just... Please, Daddy Russia, no more uwu, don't shove your big ol'... I can't take your big, hard metal nuclear missile. Then as both of her hands met above her head, the axe that she held came into focus. I stared up in disbelief. It was all I could do. Tell me, what happened to Satoshi? Rina stayed like that, with the axe raised above her head, and sullenly opened her mouth. It was as if she was expressing a farewell to a friend she had never to see again. Doom music intensifies? Basically, that cruel scenario resonated somewhere in her actions. I told you, Satoshi-kun transferred out to heaven. Enough of this transferred crap. It means demoned away, doesn't it? Doesn't it? You can tell me now, can't you? Who made Satoshi disappear? Was it you? Holy music stops. Oh, that music stopped ages ago. Was it you, Miran, or someone in the village? Tell me, Rina. Answer me. Answer me, woman. I became frantic. The more I screamed about Rina did nothing but maintain the smile frozen on her face. I have no idea what Kirishina is talking about. Then I'll say it in a way so you do. Who is the perpetrator of the chain of mysterious deaths? Oh, you seem to be confused, Ki-chan-kun. There is no murder in Ba Sing Se. What? There is no human perpetrator. Everything is Oshira-sama's will. Is Nosio's curse just superstition? The fact that Twitch added this emote makes me want to sue them for... Oh, what's that character's name? Pawn or something? AKA emergency food or something? Is that what the memes are? You believe in that too? It's not about believing or not. Oshira-sama exists. Period. Oh, we're getting a lot redder now. I think I might have hit my head when I fell down. You know his name! Wait, his name? It's a he? Oh, Paimon. Is it a trap? Is it a he? I don't know what to think anymore. His. Huh. Mina's gaze grew even more gilded. The ferocity of her stare was so intense, not allowing me to question anything. There's just one way that something like Oshiro-sama's could exist. Bam, ba, bam. Wait, is that Todd Howard? Whose face is that? Sama's could exist. You don't believe it in Oshiro-sama? There's no way I could believe it. There's no way it could exist. It exists. Oshiro-sama exists. Have you heard of Astolfo Alphonse? Or is that someone else? It felt personally. But I felt Ki-chan-kun should have felt him personally. Google her name. I've never felt something like that. Haven't you felt something felt someone apologizing to you before? Let me get up my phone so I can Google this. Haven't you felt someone apologizing to you before? Constantly on top of that? Okay, the forest is blacked out. All noise from the outside world disappeared. Only Rina's voice and my Twitch chat voice resonated loudly and terribly. Okay, let's see. Who is this? Hello. Oh. Wait, have I been saying the name? I thought I even called him Alphonse. Astolfo, yeah. He's got a wang diddly-doo. You see, until you forgive them, they'll always be with you. At school, at home, at your local banks. That's called a trap. Okay. Yeah, I know what a trap is. At your bedside, I couldn't understand what Rina was saying. It came to me too. If you to it, you get gay. Oh, well, grounds for argument on that one. It came to me too, Oshiro-sama did. That's why I transferred. That's why I transferred and came back to Higurashi. I don't understand. I don't understand. What does transfer even mean? What does Rina say? Wait, did I say what does Rina saying? Hasn't Oshiro-san come to you as well, Kichan-kun? I'm probably the only one who can confide in. I won't let you transfer out, okay? It's like underage anime characters, the difference is you go to jail. No, that's Lolly. Rina demented laughed and clanged around inside my head. Was Rina saying Oshiro-sama came to her as well? That's right. Last night I had heard about that when I asked about Rina. Lolly? Not know what a lolly is? Do you not know what a lolly? Please keep this confidential. Also, part of this may be speculation, not all of it may be true. Are you still interested? Oshiro-san began speaking. Neither the victim nor the school filed a complaint, so there is no preliminary report. No, I don't. Please tell. No, I don't. Please tell this to the police. Oh. I got you, buddy. I got you. Yeah. Don't worry, officer. This character is actually 2,000 years old. They just look 5. Neither the victim nor the school filed a complaint to their preliminary report. Basically, the police hadn't interviewed in this matter. So all of these details are just what I heard from those involved. Meaning it's not that credible. You said there were victims. Didn't Rina just break all the windows? No, Rina had attacked 3 boys. Using a metal bat. Excuse me for yawning at this very important evidence. 2 of them made it out with only bruises, but the others had been injured so badly that one of his eyes was permanently damaged. Wouldn't that be considered assault? Or shouldn't the police have arrested her? Seriously, gross. Shouldn't the police have arrested her? For whatever reason, the victim never pressed charges. There was no report. There was no report to the police, so they were beaten with a bat and suffered significant injuries. Normally, there would be criminal investigations. But why did they press charges? Oh, this is what I get for staying up till 2 a.m. 4 days in a row, and then waking up early. I tried asking the 3 male victims for their side of the story, but they were all reluctant. It's hard to say, but they were all afraid, even after she had transferred schools. Ushi-san, could you summarize it starting from the beginning? Rina hit people while she broke the windows. Or was it she started breaking the windows after she got bored with hitting people? They sounded similar, but the meanings were drastically different. No. That... Officer. No. I'm not liking this map. On an undisclosed date, Rina Reiki was conversing with 3 male students, also friends of hers, near the pool storage shed. Who were those 3? I can't reveal the names, but they were close to Rina Reiki, and it seems they were a group of friends. Why didn't you tell me this before? Like, in the game, you didn't even specify, even though, like, we're talking about it right now. She was a lone girl in their group, so it wasn't that strange the 4 of them were together. So she was cheating on us before she met us. So what happened? I don't know the reason why. Oh, she is now 18. That happened... Oh, stop. Yamate. And I won't say kudasai. I don't know the reason why. She took the baseball team's bat and it was in the pool shed and beat the 3 of them down one after the other. What? There were no witnesses. This was an account pieced together by the information given at the time of the incident. Also, she was covered in blood and glass, so that was a pretty big indicator. One day after school, Rita and 3 male students were on the pool storage shed talking together. They weren't seeking help, rather they usually met up there. It appears it became a heated discussion. At that point, Rena underwent a change. Why this came so many times bat? Because they don't have cooler weapons in Japan. Hence why anime exists. To make cool fictional weapons. The change was so abrupt that the three of them didn't comprehend what was happening. In fact, oh, hello. I wasn't expecting that. In fact, some countries actually sell self-defense bats. Comprehend what was happening. Then, taking the metal bat, she attacked her friends, one after the other. Have you here? I have not heard. Sorry, sent it by accident. Leaving her friends covered in blood with gashes on their heads, she made her way towards the school building. Man, I really wish they could have broken any other sound or brought in any other glass shattering sound just to spruce it up a little bit. Have you heard of Kill la Kill? I have. I have not finished it yet. Like so many others. Then she broke the glass windows one after the other. A few minutes later, a teacher appeared on scene and subdued her. How do you know it? It was on Netflix, and I've seen the main character around Ryuki, right? Woki. I watched it for a homecoming date. That was a fun date. Watched that. Ate Wendy's. Oh, what was this? Change. What matches up in the statement from 3 was a sudden change. The point that there was a transformation. You have seen the anime, right? Yeah, I've seen the anime, just not all of it. Transformation. I also could recall Rina's transformation. I'd seen that change many times before. It was so different from the usual Rina that I couldn't help but believe it was someone else who looked like Rina. That transformation they are talking about, had it happened before? No, there was nothing like that. As far as I could find out, in her medical history and past, there was nothing like that. I haven't seen the anime, but I guess you read the manga or something? Does that happen often? Where people change suddenly like Rina did? Of course it does. It's quite common. I beat my 3 cousins last week. It could cause something. It's uncommon if you don't, actually. Then you're saying there was a dormant element in Rina that caused the transformation. I cannot say that for certain, but according to the statements of her friends, it's hard to believe she had such a side to her. Kind, caring, and adorable. Even before she transferred here, she was probably pretty popular in school like she was now. Not the manga either. Alright, then how do you know it? The girl transferred suddenly and insulting them with a bat. Who could imagine such a thing? Nobody could have seen it coming. I myself sometimes believe that I was mistaken for thinking that was Rina even now. Then what happened after that? There was a hospital right across from the school, so the 3 of them were carried in and treated quickly. Oh, that's good. I know it from sites. Ah, yes, sites. Right. Sites. What about Rita? What about the police? I'm yawning so much now. Let me take a drink. I'm getting tired. Don't fall. What about Rina? What about the police? Why wasn't there a criminal investigation? You see, the police can't get involved unless they are called. Even though one was badly injured with permanent damage? Why didn't they file charges? That caught my attention as well. Either some threat or pressure was placed on them, or they had a reason they couldn't file charges even if they wanted to. I have coffee. Can you send it through the internet? Why did that one? Yeah, I'm so tired. We are talking about you, after all. Of course you looked into it, didn't you? Well, yeah, of course I did. I'm an investigator after all. I'm about to retire too. Well, yeah, but I told you at the beginning, didn't I? That the victims were all very reluctant to talk. They didn't want to touch on the matter, or rather, they didn't want to be involved. Reluctant to talk. Didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to be involved, eh? You don't understand the lore of this game? If you don't understand the lore, feel free to go back and click on my chest on the below section of the About Me, and you can go to my YouTube channel while I upload the previous streams. Unfortunately, the first 2 episodes got deleted before I downloaded them. So basic context, I moved into a town, small town, got in real close with a group of friends. We all played like intense games together that like have high stakes, like with high punishments. And this town's a little bit weird. It has its own little traditions and religions that go on, and basically there was this yearly festival that you go to, and then Takashi, who's basically the JoJo character of this universe, a rippling photographer, might I say, it's like, oh, yeah, did you know that a whole bunch of people were murdered here about this year and that year, and it's a consistency, it happens every... In fact, there's probably gonna be one tonight. Oh well, good luck. He is gay? Probably not. Because he was with some other woman. Anyway, so he's like, oh yeah, like people die here, and I'm kind of here to kind of like take pictures of birds and stuff. And then he's like, okay, we'll see you later, champ. And then he leaves, and he gets murdered that night. And then the police shows up, which is Oshiro-sama, the guy I'm talking to right now. And he's like, oh, you there, boy. Yeah, you. So I think your friends are killers. And that kind of sets off your suspicion. And then some weird stuff with your friend starts happening because they find out you talked to him. And then the thing that sets him up, your character off the most, is that Mion and Rina give you mochi, which is kind of like a rice cake. And they tell you, find out which one is who made which one, and while you're eating it, there was a needle in it. So he's like, okay, someone's trying to kill me. And they kind of led this whole trail until eventually we've gotten to this point now, where he's like, okay, someone is trying to kill me. But there's also the supernatural element of the story, where people of the village believe the deaths are caused by the spirit of the town. And Rina believes in the spirit of it, Oshiro-sama. Oii-sama or something. It's not a JoJo reference. So yeah, that's where we are now. Things are kind of falling apart. And this is only chapter 1. There were like 4 or 5 chapters. The teacher at school will tell you anything. A school is hollow ground. You could say that tends to keep scandals under wraps. I didn't have a search warrant, so I had to tread lightly, you see. And there was no comment from the school. Oh, the incident even happened. In fact, they burned down the school to hide down evidence. To hide evidence. It's just 3 male students were carried in for a blunt force trauma that day. Let's poison his drink. No, let's put a needle in his food. That'll kill him. Yeah, they tried it, definitely. Luckily, my character was just like, spits out. Oh, and at the end of each section, you get evidence or clues to figure out the mystery. So those are cool. They come at the end, and I like going through them. It's just 3 male students were carried in for a blunt force trauma that day. That's all there were in the hospital. Oh yeah, and there's also 3 games. So there's this game. So there's When They Cry, Higurashi When They Cry, which is this game. Then there's Higurashi When the Seagulls Cry, or Higurashi Umiko no Nokore ni or something. And then there's a new one that came out last year, and I don't know what it is. So, oh yeah, but both animes? Ooh, highly recommend them. I'm bored, I'm a copy-paste the whole FNAF lore. Don't. Chats for chat. Lores for Wikipedia and MatPat. It's just 3 males that day, that's all there was. The hospital records. The victims didn't speak, the school denied it happened. Then you don't know anything at all? Yeah, I know nothing, other than that incident itself had taken place. The victims also wished this incident to be kept from public, so if you and I both agree about it, Mayor Borasan, then this incident will probably just fade away. For a brief period, we sat in silence. At first glance, it looked like a simple assault case, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. The depth and girth of this berg were obscured by rolling waves. Roiling waves sinking quietly into the void as if it never existed to begin with. After that, she was suspended by the school, and during that time she underwent psychiatric counseling. Did you hear anything from that doctor at least? Okay. Okay, again, they were very professional in regards to their ethics, unfortunately for me. Or at least very tight-lipped. Nothing even after you showed up. Even after you showed them your badge, I was told to get a warrant. The badge itself was no legally binding authority after all. It's just a shiny thing I found in a cereal box a few years ago. No one's questioned it. Then how did you know that Rina confessed that it was Oshiro-sama who did it? There was a nurse I asked in the department. She agreed to help me just from showing her my badge. And what did she say? Well, it turns out the nurse is a bit, and she's fine with telling you anything about any patient. Yeah, the nurse hadn't heard anything. Apparently, all that she remembered was she overheard from inside the room. The nurse said that at the time Rina Reiki was very calm and mild-mannered. It was more like she was confessing her sins at church than a counseling session. She spoke with her mother there for some of it, but partway through, her mother was asked to leave, so it became a private counseling session between just the doctor and Rina for a while. The part with Oshiro-sama, when did that pop up? Partway through. She screamed the name suddenly. That startled the nurse, and that's why she started listening in. Oh, okay, can you stop with the chalkboard? Oh, that actually... that went straight up my spine. It was Oshiro-sama! It was Oshiro-sama! Rina suddenly shouted that. I had no idea what was said, but I had no idea what the meaning behind it could have been. The doctor calmly and collectively asked Rina to have a seat. What is this Oshiro-sama you speak of? Gently, ever so gently. The fundamentals of the counseling were believing what we're told. Whoever abandons Hirozama will be hunted down by Oshiro-sama, and they're finally gotten to me. That's the town you lived in before you moved here, isn't it? The beginning of everything, an explosion out of nothing created everything. People like to call this the Big Bang. Fredbear family Dinah William Afton and Henry opened in 1960s. I'm going to start from the very beginning. Family Dinah William Afton and Henry opened in 1967. The family-friendly Fredbear's Family Diner. That's a tongue twister. Featuring a brown furry suit of a bear as a mascot. Henry would usually wear the suit as they didn't have enough money to hire someone to do the job for a long time, and they were studying at the time. And you lived in before here, isn't that right, Ragi-san? I didn't want to move, but because of my mom and dad's circumstances, we had to. But Oshiro-sama wouldn't allow it. Ragi-san must have lots of friends in Hirozama. Even now, you must be missing them. Missing them, don't you think? I want to go back. Back to Hirozama. No, it's not that I want to go back. I have to go back. William studied engineering and Henry's business. I'm reading two horror lore stories at the same time here, okay? Henry's business administration and communication with him met an unnamed woman with whom he married, and 3 years later had a boy called Michael. They met in the court. William was being charged for murder. A child that allegedly was crying outside the diner for being scared of Fredbear the bear, and she was working selling out hot dogs in front of the building. By the way, she was released because they didn't have evidence pointing at it. I want to go back to Hirozama. No, it's not that. I want to go back. I should have gone back much sooner, but now it's too late. Shiro-san has come. Shiro-san is the name of the god in Hirozama, isn't that right? Everyone knows it's Hirozama's guardian's deity. It took them 4 years to actually achieve any success with Diner, as they learned from little Michael that Fredbear was born William. Them designed a new mascot, a yellow furry suit of a rabbit called Bonnie. The chemistry between the both characters worked like black magic, and the success rained on them like rain in a rainy day. The amount of money they got was so much, William used it to test his engineering skills. And if ever try to ban Hirozama by leaving, you'll incur his wrath. You have to move quite a while ago, didn't you? Then it was just now that this god has arrived in what you're saying? You might not believe me, but Hirozama exists. That nurse was then asked by another nurse to do something and left the room. That was all she remembered. That it was Oshiro-sama just doing, right? I do believe there is that kind of suspicion in Hirozama. Oh, you posted the wrong Wikipedia there. Yeah, you already posted this one. Painfully, activities such as piercing, wax, spanking, squeeze. He wanted to test his engineering skills, and then you post that. So, that's the true purpose of the Freddy chest grabber. is CBT. Oh, I'm just imagining like the metallic kunk. That if you leave the village, then you incur Oshiro-sama's wrath. You should be familiar with this part, Miraburo-san. I knew very well that what those scorned by the village incurred. To hinder the dam construction project, they cursed the construction foreman to his death. Then the following year, Toko's parents, support, and leading advocates for the dam were cursed to their death. But this was the first time I've heard of the curse incurring by living in the village. Sound effects. This is my first time hearing that. I can understand outside threats being cursed by the village, but why also villagers who leave? Normally people who leave villages aren't supposed to be cursed, right? I know it's a bit strange to say it, but I could see as a rule that the people who come in are the ones who would be cursed. Far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. Curses weren't something to chase after people that leave, were they? Ushio-san pondered for a bit, over on the other end of the receiver, then began speaking again. Well, I told you of a long... Come on, wake up. Wake up, wake up. Well, I told you of long ago when Hiro-sama was called Onigafuchi, didn't I? I recalled hearing that. A maternal insult, also referred to as a yo mama joke, is a reference to a person's mother, though the use of phrase such as your mother or other regional variants frequently used to insult the target by way of their mother. Used as an insult, your mother preys on widespread sentiment of parental respect, making the insult particularly and globally offensive. What? Repeat the name. Onigafuchi? Repeat the name. I did. Called Onigafuchi? Didn't I recall hearing that? Long ago, Hinamazawa was feared and respected at the village. The N-word. Onigafuchi. Get your mind out of the gutter, buddy. The village of ogres. I'm changing that one. It's Japanese, alright? The villagers of the... It means ogre swamp. The villagers of the foot of the mountains worship the ogres. Oh no, not ogre swamp. Well, maybe it does mean ogre swamp. Eternal swamp or something? Cancelled. I'm posting it on Twitter. Didn't you make a joke referring to that word yesterday? Not yesterday, but last stream. The villagers at the foot of the mountains worship the ogres. So Onigafuchi was hollowed ground that you could never enter. It came to be said that if you entered carelessly, you were cursed by Oshiro-sama. Those who set foot on Onigafuchi, in other words, Hirozama, would be cursed. I could understand that. I know that. But for leaving to also be no good, that's also the ogres you see. They were being strictly watched by Oshiro-sama, so they would not enter into our world. In other words, Oshiro-sama probably restricted interactions between Onigafuchi and the rest of the world. I see. I finally understand what sort of thing Onigasama was. Can we get back to the whole thing with Rina holding an axe over me? I feel like we've been ignoring her for the past 13 minutes. So basically, Oshiro-sama is more like a warden than a protectorate deity, I guess, trying to keep this place isolated from the rest of the world. I guess that's how it would seem. I'm sorry, I don't know very much myself. This is mostly what was passed on to me from my grandmother. I could understand it a bit better if it was like that. Those who came to Hirozama could be cursed, and those who tried to leave would also be cursed. So, because Rina originally lived in Hirozama and moved away, she fulfilled the requirements of being cursed. So that means because Rina moved away against its wishes, she was cursed by Oshiro-sama, and is that what it adds up to? In short, that means to be what it points to, I guess. As a matter of fact, soon afterwards, they did move back to Hirozama after all. Those who abandoned Hirozama and left were cursed. But then, why only Rina? Shouldn't Rina's parents also have been guilty of the same transgression by moving away and having been cursed? Also, in this day and age, in Japan, shouldn't there be a lot of people coming and going? If every single one of them was cursed, then it'd be insane. But in reality, it wasn't that big of a deal at all. At most, there would be one person dying and one disappearing on the day of the Watangashi. I don't like saying at most, though. Well, anyways, there's a lot I still don't know. Even if it was Oshiro-sama's curse, it doesn't add up. And to why her classmates, the victims who were beaten with a metal bat, wouldn't press charges. You don't think the victims were cowering because they believed that a terrible curse had befallen them, do you? Oh, come on, let's get back to the interesting part. Of course I don't want to believe it. But more importantly, and it's night. How long has she been staring at me at this point? I had just realized something else. I had wet myself. There was another bizarre connection that Rina had made between Oshiro-sama's curse and metal bats. Both have long shafts. Satoshi fell victim to Oshiro-sama's curse and went missing. I had recently learned that Satoshi had also become infatuated with the metal bat right before he disappeared, just like me. Then Rina as well. She was affected by Oshiro-sama's curse. She confessed that much to the doctor. And the weapon which was used at the time of the horrendous act was again a metal bat. And finally me. I'd encountered various things that were inexplicable. And now I was holding onto a metal bat? I was shocked when I learned that Satoshi did the same thing. It couldn't be. Had the same thing happened to Rina? But there was one critical difference between her and Satoshi's case. That being Satoshi went missing after falling victim to the curse. But Rina was still here. You have 2 viewers. Technically 1. It counts me as one of them. Rina was still here. Both of them had fallen victim to Oshiro-sama's curse. Yet they were met with different... I made you... If I do that, I'll actually just make it count as 1. Oh, I didn't read that. 3 now. Oh, sweet. Hello. We're growing. Huzzah. And finally, me. Soic? Speak. I speak. I couldn't call it a coincidence anymore. Rina. Satoshi. And finally me. Could it be that I really was under Oshiro-sama's curse right now? No, more importantly than that, what should I do now? Satoshi had been demoned away, vanished without a trace. Rina staring over me with an axe. Fine, Rina had undergone a change. He left. Oh. Well, he's missing out. I can only believe that there was something that wasn't Rina residing within her. You gotta appeal to her human side. And here, right now, it was standing before me. Oh, finally! Oh, he took me with him? Oh, ow. Rina, please. We're in a different part of the woods. What will happen to me? Rina stood imposing, not answering. Satoshi disappeared. But Rina didn't disappear. So what will happen to me? Hey Lois, I'm an anime girl. I had never heard such an unpleasant laugh before. It was definitely the Peter Griffin coming out of her. I had become akin to the sound of her breathing. I hit vital points there. I was no longer a voice or an expression of feeling. Don't worry. I'll save you. Rina took one step forward, still holding the axe above her head. Now then. One step closer, Rina's face spread out to fill my vision. Speak. Kill the... Speak! One step closer. Rina's nose was close enough to touch mine. And it was still pushing... Okay, kiss! Bruh. Kiss, that's all you can do at this point. Don't die a lip virgin. Kiss! There you go, that's the workaround. There's something you want to say, isn't there? I'll listen. I'll save you, okay? Speak, okay? Speak, okay? I slumped down, landing squarely on my buttocks. It wasn't for some pathetic reason. I was all I could do to get as far away from Rina. She actually does go into the kitchen quite often. She's like the cook of the group. She's actually quite good at it. I had the gut feeling that I couldn't let her laughter end. Because when that laughter ended... Okay, so I gotta keep it going. When I picked up it, like feeling my body moving instinctive. I sprang to my feet so fast, even I couldn't believe it, and pushed Rena away with both... What was that? I thought I just took an axe to the skull. Like, how's my frontal lobe doing? Rena was as light as a feather. She blew up in the wind. Just, still laughing. Just, Rena was as light as a feather, thrown about by the unbalanced weight of the axe. She was sent backwards as if she had been carried by the wind. I'm an airbender! The twist of the show! After confirming that one of the corners of my eyes, I dashed off at full speed. I was the perfect picture of fleeing like a greased pig. I even whined, just whee! Squeaked like a pig. Get away from Rena. Run away. Survive. Current objective. Survive. I couldn't think. Okay. I'm just imagining just like an announcer just coming over, just Slayer. I couldn't think of anything other than this. While I was running, I remembered I'd been holding onto a bat the entire time. Such a worthless weapon. I couldn't believe I'd forgotten about this weapon at such an important time. I sped even farther down the winding path. I didn't even feel myself gasping for breath, or my legs getting heavy. My body understood it as well. It didn't run away from her. Here, it wouldn't live. I could hear the laughter of the simulacrum of Rena coming from behind me. It rang through the trees and in my head and slowly chiseled away at my sanity. Whatever sanity this guy has left. The grove of trees thinned out, my field of vision suddenly expanding. Where was this? For a moment I was bewildered by the scenery. I felt I knew but couldn't quite remember. I quickly realized it was the damn site. The fact I dashed madly and ended up in place. The grave gave me a bad feeling, like I was following someone's scripted plot. I didn't see a single Illuminati. Exactly, this is all the Illuminati. Oshiro-sama, it starts with an O. Eyes look like O's. Oshiro-sama is the eye. Confirmed. MatPat, get on this. This was I had a good view of my surroundings, but I didn't see a single soul here. Oh yes, Easter Island Head, here. This was a terrible spot for someone on the run, but there was no better place for an attacker. My heart was already on the verge of bursting. The muscles in my legs were screaming, but I didn't care. If I stopped here, then they might not even be able to scream for much longer. Even still, I glanced back, looking for an excuse to rest. Rena wasn't there. Instead, I saw two villagers walking around. I breathed a sigh of relief that it wasn't Rena, but a third party, except the voice inside me rang the alarm once again. Villagers wanting to trade. They could be pillagers! Walking around weren't suspicious in themselves, but it bothered me. They both were rough-looking clothes. Empty-handed, they definitely gave the impression that they were just out for a walk. But at this time of day, two adults wandering around without a purpose, it was enough to raise questions. But more than anything else, those eyes. Those weren't chit-chatting while walking. They were both silent, heading forward, looking in my direction. Villagers? Exactly. I could see in their stone-cold green eyes. They wanted my emeralds. They wanted to trade, but I had nothing to give. Was I at the end of my rope and had finally started imagining things? I should have run away. That was probably the best choice. If they weren't involved, I'd lose them easily by running. If they were part of the group after me, then they could come running after me. Either way, you know what they won't suspect? Strip naked. Run. They won't suspect that. Besides, if you lose the excess weight of your clothing, you'll be faster. Just breeze, like, oh yeah, and shave your hair. Just like a athletic swimmer, just through the woods. You'll be safe. It's the only way. Trust me. Either way, unless I hurried up, Rena would catch up with me. That's right, I was going to run. Decided that moment I began to turn tail. Both of them rushed toward me, as if they knew exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere inside me, I had jumped to the conclusion that Rena was the only thing I needed to be afraid of. I made the assumption that I didn't need fear anything else, but right now I realized just how blatantly wrong I was. Suddenly, the story Urshon told me about the demons all leaving the village was to hunt prey floated through the back of my mind. It's Shrek. In his human form, I could tell that they were both coming after me without even turning around because of their frantic footsteps. It was frightening being able to shake Rena off. She slowly closed in on me, but this didn't even compare. Being pursued with such violent ferocity, this straightforward horror was unparalleled. One of the pursuers' arm grazed my shoulder. Now it wasn't just their frenzied footsteps, but also the distinct sound of their breathing that I could hear. No, I could practically feel them breathing on me. They were already right behind me. Calm down, Kichan Mayabura. Still running at full tilt, I felt the surrounding area go still. No, it felt like the time itself had stopped. You are too ugly, and for that reason I tell you I'm going to sleep. Instead, I will go to another stream. Oh, you don't have to hurt my feelings like that. Alright, enjoy your sleep and or other stream. I hope they have bad internet connection, you cheater. Thought what we had was special. Let's see. No, it felt like the time itself had stopped. It actually looks like Zawirldo right now. One of them is Dio. It is a JoJo reference. Okay, it's here. I'm tired. Good night. Alright, good night, Rodrigo. Rodrigo 4-5. It's a good time for you to end with a JoJo reference. It got into me. Frozen World, realizing how close my pursuers had gotten to me. I couldn't win against the legs of an adult. In less than the time it took to take a blink twice. I'm going to sleep with your dad. Oh no, you don't. You don't even know where he is, because I don't either. This frozen time began moving again. They'd be right on top of me. On top of me, and then steamy thoughts came to my mind. Dreadful thoughts that should not cross. Don't think about that, Kachuk. First realize that you won't be able to shake them off like this. If the fact that you can't get away was a given, then you need to make a decision. Go with the right leg or go with the left. You just need to decide which one. You kinda need both legs, idiot. Let's go with the left. The moment I decided that, the temporal singularity burst into pieces. I broke out through Dio's mind tricks. Right, left. Okay, he is going both. I swung the bat in a wide arc with my right arm using that inertia. I stopped and suddenly spun. What? The two of them were clearly startled. Momentarily losing sight of me, both of their outstretched arms ready to grab me, instead grasped at an empty space. The man on the right, I applaud him being able to figure it out, spun around to the spot I shouldn't have been, and faced me in astonishment. But it was too late. I didn't even need to swing my bat. All I needed to do was extend my arms as I turned around. Home run! Game! It was by no means a heavy blow, but it seemed like it had enough power behind it to knock him off his feet. But just knocking him down wasn't enough to scare him away. He got back up in no time. Both of them took frightening stints and were ready to face me. They have their stands! Kichon, use your stand! Metal Bakun! He has unparalleled defense and attack speed, but he lacks in the sanity department and charisma. This made me certain that they weren't just two people out for a walk. They were clearly after me. It felt much easier than dealing with Rena. Just by not recognizing their faces, by not knowing them, it made things easier. I smiled wryly on the inside. What do you want with me? Next one is going to be right for your head, you bastard. It's fine. If I just buff, it's just a bluff. By barking out at them, I was able to fire myself up. They didn't respond. They spread out to either side of me with unbelievable calm expressions on their face. One of them would grab onto my bat and the other would hold me down. Was that their plan? Taking on both of them at once would be impossible. Not with the wind that shakes the willows. Bam! Bam! Kneecap! Hot sweat poured from every pore in my body. Then I'd have to settle with the first move. I'd step in and strike the first one down. Narrowing my targets, I went to cat crosses the courtyard, target down to the man on the right, who had already been knocked down before. I stepped in and swung with all my might. There was no way for an unarmed person to guard against it, and it would cause immense damage. Now that's a lot of damage! If they blocked it with their arm, their bones would snap like a twig. If they turned their backs to it, then it was possible that the blow would travel all the way through their vital organs. It looked like he was aware of it. He pushed farther through the kill zone between us and delivered a fist right into my gut. Oof, not good. With this since in his position and in this state, there was no way for me to dodge it. Kakui! The world flipped upside down. I understood that. I was being tossed around like a rag doll. I landed on the soft earth without a sound, feeling the grainy soil press against my face. It didn't hurt at all. But the moment I thought that, I suddenly felt pain coming from the aberration on my skin, as well as the contents of my stomach being forced upwards, flooding my mouth with a bitter sensation. I knew very well that I didn't have the time to relish this experience. I stood up quickly as I could, and used my projectile vomit to distract the second guy, much like that one Dilophosaurus in Jurassic Park. But at that moment, the other man was already barreling towards me. Being able to comprehend calmly that I simply couldn't dodge it made it more unsettling. After plowing into my stomach full force once again, my assailant twisted around behind me and locked his thick arms around my neck. My throat felt like it was being crushed by his immense strength. I couldn't even contemplate that I was being strangled or that I was about to go unconscious. My vision simply darkened and silent whining noise began playing deep inside my mind. The bugs are inside me. Oh dang, it's actually playing the ringing. Ow! Ow, that hurts! It kept me from blacking out. While this was happening, the other man was more than likely standing in front of me. I wasn't able to open my eyes, but I could feel that he was there. There was nothing I could do now. Unable to shake this arm off me, I couldn't run, I couldn't fight back. Dire straits, I couldn't even stand up, the phrase that adequately described my situation. This is a long chapter. We've been going for an hour and a half, and I was also reading FNAF lore, so that might have slowed us down a little. Oh, am I blacking out? Uh-oh. Am I the dead? Am I dead? Am I alive at all, or? A familiar ceiling. I'm in heaven, probably. The smell of the bed and the pillows. Axe body spray. And I knew them well. Was this my room? Normally there wouldn't be anyone in my room besides me, but their presence made me spring wide awake. When I did that, pain shot throughout my entire body. Feeling alright? I think you just better lie down for a bit. I was really in my room. Blood began to surge through my muscles and my capillaries. But Rina's smile belonged to Rina. I knew well. I knew I shouldn't let myself feel this way. I relaxed, seeing that this was a version of Rina was safe. Why am I... Don't you remember? After losing consciousness, nothing at all. My body had become more lethargic than I could ever imagine. I guess that could be expected outcome after deserting everything I had back there. You've been in a coma for 30 years! You're actually 200 pounds! I've been feeding you mochi full of needles! Now you can't get away! Exploring everything I had back there. I tried to at least clear my head, but I just couldn't shake the sluggish feeling out of my mind. I called the doctor. He should be here soon. I think you'd better just lie down until then. I wasn't injured seriously enough to merit calling a doctor, but knowing that someone impartial was coming was slightly reassuring. Why am I here? I'm sure I was at the dam site. That's what I want to know. What happened? When I got there, Kitchen was already passed out. That's why I'm the one who wants to know. I was attacked by two weirdos. As I talked about, I finally remembered what happened right before I passed out. Recalling that memory and the terror that went along with it caused the fogginess around my head to clear right up. Let's forget about those two for now. Okay, the people who attacked you? Okay, I'll just get rid of those. I didn't expect Rina to be nursing me. Oh, oops. I thought Rina was trying to kill me. She would have had the perfect chance while I was unconscious. Not only did she not kill me, she had nursed me back to health. I'm guessing you could drag me all the way back here. Wasn't I heavy? Rina is strong with mochi. She just gets jacked. Oshiwa-sama has blessed this body. Oshiwa-sama bless this revenge body. Back home, but even dragged me all the way. Well, you see, I did drag you. But I dragged you through the rocks. That's for running away. By the way, I also amputated your kneecaps. Way up to the second floor. I'm just imagining just like him or dragging his head just the-kunk, 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 the-kunk. My character doesn't really show what I'm doing, just it's like ka-tunk, ka-kunk, ka-kunk. There we go. Did she have some help? Don't you remember, Ki-chan-kun? We're married and have 12 babies. Rina appeared a bit surprised but still kept her smiling. I only propped you up on your shoulder. You said you could walk on your own and that you were fine. You don't remember? I don't remember. My memory was fuzzy after the point where I lost consciousness. What about those two? Huh? When you got there, Rina, the ones with me, or rather those two guys? There wasn't anyone! She said it so bluntly. The way she stated it felt slightly unpleasant. I was just too timid at the time. I might have been able to force some answers out of Rina, but if I did that, then this kind of Rina might transform into the scary Rina, who I didn't know. Fearing that, I didn't press any further. Thinking about it, I was the obvious choice. If both of those men were there, I don't think Rina would even have stood a chance. I couldn't find a way to explain it unless I assume she brought me here after those two were already gone. Rina was still smiling. Her eyes sparkled warmly. Yet, I felt like I was hallucinating when I saw something akin to a shadow slowly creeping across her face. That small omen sent shivers down my spine. While Rina was still Rina, I needed to make contact. I needed to contact Oishi-san. Rina stopped me when I tried to get out of bed. She said it would aggravate my wounds, so I should sleep. I'd like to go to the bathroom, though. Sorry. Here, Rina will catch it. Rina couldn't say anything else. While Rina stayed in the room, I quickly went downstairs to get the phone receiver in the living room. When I approached the front door, the doorbell rang. Ding dong. More like ding doom. It rang in my ears. It must have been the doctor Rina had called for. It was strange for a patient to welcome in the doctor who was making a home call, but it would. I lost my spot. Higurashi, yes. Hey, I'm glad someone knows what the series is. I've had to explain it to like everybody who stopped by. Another Higurashi fan. But we're just about to finish chapter 1. It's taken 12 hours. Oh, and thank you so much for the follow. There is the yelling skeleton in my ears. Hello, visual novel gamer. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Legendary anime JP fan 2. It's an honor to meet the legendary anime fan. So, I'm playing this game. So just brief little background. Higurashi is my all-time favorite anime. It's the anime that got me into anime. They remastered it last year. So I wanted to play the game, or play the game/visual novel, before I watched the remastered. And then I'm going to go on to When the Seagulls Cry. I'll play that visual novel, and then I'll watch that one too. Maybe I'll do like a Discord watching session. People do that sometimes. Why, thank you. So that's kind of like the sum of this series. Just want to go through, because again, I love this series. In fact, I really want, someday, I want to write a story like it. It's so cool. All the twists and turns and characters. It's so good. I love it. Okay. Right, back onto the story. Who was making a house call? Oh yeah, and since you do know, you're familiar with the series, please excuse my mispronunciation of names and words. Reading is difficult for me. I'm pretty sure I'm saying Oshirasama and Higawana wrong or something. And I'm pretty sure I'm saying Kichan Marabura wrong. Oh well, we'll see. Making a house call, but it would be incredibly reassuring to have him here. For the considerable time it would take Uishi-san to get here. I'm taking a break while I was busy playing 15 visual novel games for this month. Oh, so you're a streamer too. Higurashi is quite a long series. Oh yeah, like, this is, again, I've been doing this for 12 hours and this is just chapter 1. I don't even want to know how long the other series are. I think there's 3. One came out last year, or at least last year or last year. I know nothing about that series, so I'm excited to do that one. It's going to take me like a year to get there. I carelessly opened the door with that simple assumption and regretted it almost immediately. That was a mistake. Mune! Oh, you look just fine. I heard you collapsed, so I came to check up on you. How did you know I collapsed? I heard from Mina over the phone. Do I need any reason other than that? I understood why she could call a doctor. But why Mune too? Rina was descending the stairs behind me. Also, isn't there like, in the anime, aren't there like 4 or 5 seasons? Memory's off. It's the longest visual novel series with 17th title or more. Dang, that's cool. It deserves it. At least, just far off this one, it definitely deserves it. And the next one. Rina doesn't Kichan look alright? Sheesh, you made me worry. This game was ahead of its time. It was doing sheesh before anyone else. You made me worry for nothing. That's true. Maybe I worried for nothing at all. They both began laughing. It appeared to be a cheerful laughter, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a darkness looming over them. Whoa, what's up with this shoe rack? How did it get like this? Oh. Well, you see, it spontaneously combusted when I hit it. The shoe rack that I'd smashed to pieces had been like that since yesterday. Oh, I fell, you see, and the bat I was holding at the same time slammed into it. This is what happens when you swing around something you're not used to handling. I kept the fact that it was none of her business to myself. But leaving it like this will really startle your parents when they get home. I'll fix it up for you later. And I'm just hard when he just puts on like a hard hat and just pulls out a power drill. Bzzz, now bend over, Kichan. Now come on, Kichan. The terminally ill need their rest. Come back in bed. And I just hear like the sounds of explosions and cartoon construction downstairs as Rina constructs this cabinet again. Both of them urged me up the stairs. I had no chance to call Ushi-san. Drat, they had predicted my movements. I was pushed into bed, restrained even, as it was the first time Yun had been in my room. She began searching around it intently. She fiddled around my room and was scolded by Rina. You can imagine how it went. It was uncomfortable having my room poked around. Man, I have accomplished with 200 visual novels and collected over 1,000 visual novels since 1988. Comic party, here I come. Holy cow, that is impressive. I have 200 visuals, 1,000 visual novels. I hope one day in the future you can collect one of mine when I finally get around to them. It would be an honor to be a part of the legendary anime JP Fan 2 collection. It was uncomfortable having my room poked around, but the conversation was so benign that it was heartwarming. During that innocent conversation, Murien said something as though it was perfectly ordinary. I don't know if you know the series Another. Does that have a graphic novel like this? 'Cause I'd like to do that one too. I really liked that show. I need to watch it again. Rina, did you call the manager? Yep, right after I called Mien-chan. Well, I have all the Higurashi series collection. So how many are there? So like, I know there's When They Cry, When the Seagulls Cry, and there's one that's like When the Sky Cries or something, or like another one. I only know of those 3, because those are the ones on Steam. I have called Mina-chan. He said he'd be right over. Manager? That out-of-place word gave me a bad feeling. Mina called a doctor, then called Mune, and after that she called a manager? Is she a K-pop idol and I just haven't realized it? Who was this manager? Does he have a casting couch? Since Rina and Mjorn's conversation was so peaceful, it only felt slightly odd. What are you two talking about? Who's this manager? Didn't you know, Ki-chan-kun? We mean the manager when we say manager. The fuck kind of answer is that, Mjorn? We mean, like the director of a movie or like a foreman of a construction site? I dug through all my memories for a manager who might have business with me. Only one thing came to mind, what Rina had just said. The construction site foreman. The very first victim of the first incident, dismemberment, at the damn construction site, the foreman. But that was strange, he's dead. He was supposed to be dead. There was no way they could call him. Brings out a Ouija board? Aha! I don't understand what you guys are talking about. What does the manager have to do with me? You said he was coming. Did you mean to my house? I asked one obvious question after another, but all the two of them did was smile coolly at each other. There was a huge difference between how the two of them appeared and how my suspicions were playing out. Slowly, I felt discomfort and panic welling up inside me. I couldn't understand what Rina and Mjorn were talking about. Ki-chan, you've gotten into basketball lately, haven't you? Pretty sure the manager will be happy to hear that. So, who is this manager? The manager is the manager! Ha! So who is this manager? Ha! Maybe that's just his name. He's a foreigner whose name is Ha. Rina and Mjorn looked at each other and laughed heartily. That disturbing cackle, unpleasant, resounded around me. I do more heartily laugh, but at this point, my voice is tired, so. That laughed long enough to be unsettling and ended abruptly. Oh yeah. We should finish up before the manager comes. You remember, don't you, Ki-chan? Her face was laughing, but Mjorn's eyes told a different story. Remember what? Ki-chan-kun, had he forgotten, I wonder? About the penalty? About the penalty. Did you really forget? The homework with the mochi? The homework where you were supposed to guess which one Rina made? You forgot about the homework, didn't you? I certainly did that homework, but I had thrown away the rest of the mochi after I found that sewing needle. So I wasn't able to answer which one Rina made. The penalty for what? For that? Why not? No doubt my question was written all over my face. The answer to my question was that dry laughter. I could no longer make heads or tails of anything. I began to think that this entire day was somehow insane. There's 6? Holy cow, I'm far behind. Incomprehensible. Inconceivable. Being chased by Rina. Attacked by strange men. The penalty me and Rina were talking about. I gotta get on those titles. I gotta read them. Wait, what were these two laughing at? It didn't take that long for me to realize I had been dragged into an abnormal situation. Who were these two? Who were these people? Who were these doppelgangers of Rina and Mjorn? Rina had gotten behind me at this point. Why was she pinning my arms behind my back? What are you doing? Don't move. This is your penalty. Look up my YouTube Legendary Anime JP Fan 2. I will do that. Ugh. I do like hearing stories. I didn't know what is that? Did I just hear like a grunt? Like, What are you doing? Don't move. This is your penalty. My body was already very sluggish, and Rina pinning my arms but made it that much harder to move. I seriously tried to struggle, but she couldn't even budge. My panic began to well up, and I realized this was well beyond the realm of jokes and pleasantries. This freakishly monstrosity strength, it could have been impossible for Rina that I knew. Or maybe I'm just really weak, and these thin, frail arms grasping me from me. Whose arms were they? John Cena! Dun, dun, dun. Just puts him in a pile drive. Ki-chan-kun, no struggling. Club rules, there are no exceptions. You can't fight against the penalty. Mjorn? No, not that thing. That looked like Mjorn spoke to me, like how Mjorn would speak to me. But I was certain that this was not Mjorn. Someone wasn't Myon. Someone was just pretending to be Myon. Among Us? You need to finish this up before the manager comes. Myon fished into her pockets and pulled out something bizarre. I could tell what it was just by looking, but blah, blah, I'm losing my train of thought. I could tell what it was just by looking, but for such a thing. Oh, you sent, yeah, you can't put links in the chat, unfortunately, but you gave me a name, so I can look it up. I could tell what it was just by looking, but for such a thing to be in her pocket, my mind wouldn't accept it. What is that? It was a small syringe. It was small, clear syringe, like what a doctor would use when you went to him when you were sick. Rena held me even tighter, and I could hear that clattering laughter that no longer sounded like laughter, blaring in my ears, that eerie slaughter. It wasn't something that the Rena I knew could ever produce from her own throat. This thing that pretended to be Rena, was this their real laugh? Unable to defend myself, the syringe Myon was holding drew closer, and then the needle tip was waved in front of my face countless times. Don't worry, it won't hurt. It won't. Hehehehe. What are you planning on doing? What kind of sick joke is this? What are you saying, Kichan? You know exactly what's going on, don't you? You're getting your COVID shot! Extra thick with 5G service. Rena is trying to kill you. Well, technically it's Myon trying to do that right now with the syringe. About what? I don't understand any of this. I know you know. No use playing the fool this late in the game. They know it's a game. They become self-aware. Stop talking nonsense and to try to confuse me. You're going to have done to you what happened to Tomika-san. Oh, what? Same as Tomika-san? I'm being transferred! They're aliens, probably. I didn't really understand what she meant. What did that have to do with the syringe? You're playing dumb, Kichan-kun. You should have realized it by now. Rena whispered into my ear, laughing as it abolished me. But even the way she spoke was repulsive beyond compare, and I burped in my ear. Pardon-moi. Playing dumb? Me? About what? What do you mean? The same as Tomika-san. Everyone thought at first that it was a hit and run, except when the officers got closer to check if he was still alive, he soon noticed it wasn't a normal situation. His throat was scratched out. From a knife or something? No. Nails. Nails? Nails as in fingernails? With those gouged, though? That's right. Tomika-san, not Toshi. Oh, okay, so they're talking about Toshi. The Dreamboat himself. The armor-piercing, round-stopping, chest-glory man himself. Which is like a very obscure OVA episode. Which is my favorite OVA episode. Actually, they had like a full season of OVA. Like, it had like 12 episodes of OVA, and it had some of it had story in it. Tomika-san had clawed out his own throat with his own nails and died. There's no way someone could die like that. So then, for that to happen, we thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature. And that's why you don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs. Was detected, you'd claw out your own throat. That's right. The police didn't find any drugs in Tomika-san's system. The police told me they didn't find any drugs in Tomika-san's body. Gwah. The two of them laughed together. Who laughs like gwah? Sounds like a Pokemon. Sickening laugh. Of course they'd laugh. To assume that such a medicine didn't exist just because the police didn't know about it was completely foolish. I mean, the drug that caused Tomika-san to die in such a bizarre manner did exist. If Myon injected this into me, then that would probably be all the proof I needed. That would basically mean I'd end up the same as Tomika-san. Become hysterical, scratching out my own throat in the last moments, then die. For such an outrageous drug to exist. For Myon to be holding it, and that I was about to be injected with it. At that moment, I did not feel there was any need whatsoever to question it. What kind of idiot, when he's trying to dodge a ball flying straight for his face, has a time to think of a reason to ask, why is it flying in a system? How is the question? Whom is flying this ball? Just give up. Alright then? Mion's actions lacked any gravity, and that just made it even more terrifying. There was none of these ceremonies like when someone is sentenced to death. There was no hesitation at all, as if she were brushing her teeth. Mion reached out with one hand and grabbed onto my chest. It felt like electricity had run through the back of my head and the entire world had gone dark. Did I stand up too fast? Or did I? Oh, then you don't have enough iron, if that's what happened. Did someone hit me with a really hard in the back of the head? Having lost my sense of balance, I assaulted by a wave of dizziness. I woke up in Vegas 2 weeks later, no pants. No, is that not the end? Is that not the end? How many chapters are in this chapter? Oh, thank goodness. That was just like an intermission or something? I squatted down for... Actually, just in case. I've been going for a while. I almost hit quick load. Oh, that would have been so bad. I squatted down for a bit. When I came back to my senses, my entire room had changed drastically. The numbness in my head was gone, and slowly I could tell blood was flowing to my extremities again. How long had I been squatting here? How many minutes? Or has it been an hours? It was almost as if the hands on the clock had stopped moving the entire time. My eyes were closed. That's how little time passed. Really. The air in the room wasn't filled with that madness from before, only a dull silence. Rina wasn't there pinning my arms, and Mion wasn't there about to inject me with a needle. No way, could it be? All of it was a hallucination? There was no other presence in the room besides my own. It was the weirdest experience I'd ever had. I was certainly with Rina and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but I was also seized with some sort of comfort. I guess that was a terrible ordeal. It was a hallucination. Neither Rina nor Mion. They wouldn't ever do something so terrible. My head grew hot. I was overclocking my brain. I couldn't tell my emotions were welling up. Why? That wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow. Why was I sad? I don't understand. I don't understand. Kind to everyone, to discriminating against age or gender. Mion. That Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. Blood stained her a deep red from her head down to her chest. The bright crimson smeared on the walls that splattered and undoubtedly came from Mion. She always had that bright smile and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Rina. Oh dang, I thought that was the actual body right there for a moment. I was like, crud, did they actually put like... Did you draw that? Dang. That same Rina was slumped at my feet and was making the same pool of blood as Mion. I couldn't comprehend what had happened. Did someone come save me? Did they beat these two down with this metal bat? I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. How long had it been there? Oh shoot. It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered in a deep red. There's no doubt that this was the weapon used to both of them. And I was holding that weapon. I was the only person in this house. What? I? Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who could have done it. I did this? That's right. Kichan Marabor. Of course I did it. I told myself gently, as if coaxing myself. Hey, me. Calm down. I just like Captain America singing at the show. So, you killed your two best friends. There is no reason for you to remember it, nor is there a need to regret it. Eat or be eaten. I was gonna say, like, go eat something and calm down. You get that, don't you? But that blood, the blood, there is so much. Neither Rina nor Mion moved an inch. It wasn't just a split forehead and a trickle of blood, nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered with red, and that told me it didn't end with just 2 or 3 strikes. Were they dead? Both of them? The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface, I was panicking and agitated. Calm down, Kichan Maribor. What happened to your usual calm self? Usual, boy, you cracked under any amount of pressure every time. Come on now. Do like you always do. Panic and have your knees drop out before you? That sounds like a good idea. Fall into that blood. That won't be incriminating at all. Throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on, breathe in that Axe body spray. Let the sense of your room fill your lungs. Once, twice, breathe deeply. Calm down. Calm down. I chanted that over and over in my head and relaxed. Color came back to my vision and smells reinfused the air. At the same time, I remembered what happened when I blacked out. Well, that's kind of how blacking out works. You black out. Time resets. We go back 2 minutes. Rina and Myun had attacked me. They were about to inject me with whatever caused the same symptoms as Tomitaki-san. But right before that happened, I fought back. I twisted my whole body and threw Rina as she was pinning my arm. Then I followed through with my spin and rammed my foot as hard as I could into Myun's torso. It was soft. Rina tried jumping on me, so I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Satashi's bat was on the left careless by the side of my desk. She even retrieved the bat for him. Interesting. Weep. At that moment, everything went pitch black. There was nothing recorded past this point in the videotape of my mind. Does he add videotape sounds to his memories? No, that wasn't right. It wasn't that. There was nothing recorded. It was recorded just fine. In glorious 4K HD. Me inside myself and had told me not to look and turned off the TV. Just because the screen had gone black and I couldn't see it didn't mean the videotape within me hadn't recorded. The TV was just off. The video was still playing. Ew, it sounds gross. The tape within me creeping along, still playing on the other end of the pitch black screen. That horrifying video was still playing on. Rina, compared to this, though, this is the scene right before my eyes was still so difficult to take in. There was blood splattered everywhere on the walls, the two of them, in these unnatural poses, not a sign of movement from them. I couldn't even tell if they were breathing. No matter what the circumstances were, my friends, these girls, I had attacked them. Self-defense, I'd say. I may have even killed them, just maybe. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been the one done for. Balancing that out on an imaginary scale, it felt odd that I'd even felt bad about it. Even if it was a bit excessive, this was just a justifiable self-defense. The proof was all here. The two of them collapsed here in Myun's syringe. Myun's syringe filled with some unknown drug would be certainly solve the mystery surrounding the incident with Tomitaki-san. And from the fact that both of these two were involved, they'd be able to pick out the criminals one after the other. Still, I might be a suspect for this, but that was just fine. Anyways, now this should be police affair. This wouldn't fade into the darkness like Rina's past incident. As long as the police were involved, that should bring this to a close. They'll probably revisit their investigation on the chain of incidents. Ushi-san would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning my wish of not wanting to die, of wanting to know the truth that would be fulfilled in its most basic form. It was all a matter of time now. The doctor Rina had called should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. I needed to contact Uishi-san. You might want to shower first. You want to go like, well, hello there, sir. Yes, I am the one you need to come and check out. Also, can you identify these two bodies are dead? At that moment, I remembered. Besides the doctor, a manager had been called. It was easy to imagine that they were someone deeply involved with the incidents, judging from Rina and Myun's conversation. The ache in my chest caused by the gruesome deed I'd done dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place was no longer safe. Stay calm, Kichan Maribora. It's not over yet. I needed to live long enough to tell the police of this incident. At that moment, I felt like I heard someone's voice from outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean There was more than one person. I moved the curtains ever so slightly and peered outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were all gathered at the gate. They very much resembled the 2 men who had been assaulted me at the damn site today. Those 2 might even be among them. There was one more person there, wearing a white coat, but he didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me he was in disguise, only posing as a doctor. Right, I need to ask Tabula for this, you would know Dr. Tabula. That guy would probably ring the door and get me to open the front door. Pretend to be the doctor to get me to open the door, and then the rest of them would all rush in at once like a SWAT team. At that moment, I saw the car parked behind the men, and my heart nearly skipped a beat. The white van, the one that almost hit me, the one that almost isekai'd me! No mistaking it. That van, the one that had tried to run me down. The man in the white coat entered the gate and headed toward the front door. The rest of the men hid in the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend that I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they'd just break the windows and enter. I needed to get out of here somehow. Then use a public phone to contact Oishi-san. Then meet up somewhere. First of all, I needed a weapon. Then shoes. Before all of that, there was one thing that I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live and reveal the truth about this nonsensical curse of Oshima-sama. But what would happen from here on, regardless of how determined I was, may bring about my demise. And that was why there was one more important thing to get out of here right now. I needed to get the clock out quickly and take down the note hidden behind it. Darn it! The tape was sticking to it fast. It'd be fine if it tore a little. I opened up the slightly torn note and began writing another passage with a ballpoint pen. If I wasn't able to inform Oshiro-san, then the only thing I could rely on was this note. I'd never thought a piece of torn college-ruled notebook paper could be this reliable before. I had no time. I'd only write what I knew right now. I needed to leave some sort of information that could lead them to uncover the truth. Rina and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. This was an undeniable fact. I still don't want to believe it, but it was fact. Anyway, I'd leave all the information that could help lead them to finding the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This was everything I was able to see from the window. There may be more. Also, there was the unidentified person known as the manager. To begin with, the term manager didn't even mesh with Hinozama at all. If they were going to include the managers from the past instance, then the only one in the construction foreman, the victim from the first murder. The very first victim in the chain of incidents. Killed in a lynching, his body divided into 6 pieces, his right arm was never discovered. I'm just imagining just like a hand with like googly eyes. It's the mastermind behind it, just like, yes, I never died. It is me, the manager foreman. I have lived through Oshiro-sama's blessing as this decrepit hand, and I require your body. His right arm was never discovered. The police should have confirmed that death. But Rina and Mion did both call him manager. They said manager. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who was dead. The police would never even conceive that someone who deceased could be involved. Could it be that some sort of oversight? I didn't know. But even if I didn't know, it could be a big hint for Oshiro-san. That's right. They needed to start fresh from the first incident. It wasn't just a simple dismemberment, but the start of this string of mysterious deaths that would follow. So then there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victims from the dismemberment incident. He's alive. His death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, you could think as much. But was that really the case? Well, they found the rest of the body. Just the hand's missing. Or the arm. Could it be that some sort of ploy that they were able to deceive the police with? They shouldn't have jumped to conclusion, but he may still be alive. I had no time to ponder that right now. Oh, yeah, by the way. Have you heard of the hit game Among Us? And he just writes about it. There's something even more important I need to write down. I have this idea for a startup company. A pretzel company. Tomoko-san's death was from an unknown drug. That's right. That drug, it was an irreplaceable piece of evidence. No doubt about it. Just by having this, everything would be uncovered. I couldn't just leave this vital clue lying on the floor. This syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe onto the back of the clock with plenty of tape. So it absolutely would not slip out and fall to the floor. Firmly. Ding. Dong. The bell rang. But this mouse did not run up the clock. That joke did not make any sense. They were here. I couldn't write any more. But to be continued. But even still, a JoJo reference to know it was really me. There was one last thing that I had to write. I have no idea why it has become like this. This may be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote onto this note. If you were reading this, then I am probably already dead, though you may or may not find my body. If I was going to write about everything that could happen, either dying from this curse or being demoned away, you who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. With this, my last will and testament was complete. I also had to write down who gets my Xbox, my PlayStation, all my manga, all my drawings, all my tests, my favorite disc, my favorite clock. No, I want to get buried with that so they find this evidence. Right. P.S. The clock thing was a joke. Don't want to be... I actually hate this clock. I wasn't certain that I was going to die. But probably likely, but it was my final plea, just in case. I folded the note, stuck it at the back of the clock, and returned the clock back to its usual spot. I couldn't help but pray. Oshi-san, if something happens to me, I leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed down silently at Rina and Mion. This was probably the last time we'd ever see each other. Rina. Mion. I really had thought all of us were friends. But why did it end up like this? I never had any fun in my previous school. I only worried about standardized test scores. About if the school I hoped to get into was where I really wanted to go, or a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. The people I called friends were also my rivals in studying, in competition in personal records and standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy that lifestyle was. This month was really fun. Making a fuss over a lunch, making a fuss over the club, making a fuss over the festival. Something hot began dripping from my face. Uncontrollable tears. I should have had no obligation to shed tears from them, but they wouldn't stop, even if they were after my life. Even if they were trying to kill me. Everything that happened this month, I wouldn't forget it. Maybe you should take a lock of hair or something. I don't know, give them something to remember. Or could it be these happy days were all facades as well? Was it all a trap, meticulously orchestrated up until today to ensnare me? Could it have been that I had just arbitrarily assumed that they were my friends? That couldn't have been the case. Both Rina and Myun, they really were my friends. Those happy days, there was nothing fake or unclear about them. Someone probably forced them to try to kill me. Or their minds were taken over or possessed by the supernatural entity known as Oshiro-sama. Regardless, both Rina and Myun, they were the best friends ever. And when they were coming after me, it wasn't of their own volition. Wait, they weren't the kind of people to sell off their friends, regardless of whether or not they were forced. There's no way such a thing like being possessed by Oshiro-sama could happen in reality. Then did the real Rina and Myun come after me? What was I thinking? What a silly dumb idea. Having beaten down both Rina and Myun, I was still debating if they were the real ones or fake. There was no real or fake, only the reality that was before me. Two dead ones. Rina and Myun were sprawled out at my feet. That was the only truth. I was only trying to twist the facts to my benefit that I had beaten my friends to death. No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change reality. Rina and Myun were both dead. I felt like there was a crack in the damn strange emotion I was holding back. I felt like my calm state, which was nothing more than a bluff, had receded, and in that opening, insanity was leaking out. I killed them. Rina and Myun. I killed them. The doorbell rang again. The unrelenting echo pulled me back into a state of uncomposure once again. I didn't have a moment to spare. Quickly, I needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I would uncover everything after all. The identity of whoever or whatever had pushed me this far. Even if I had to drink mud and eat grass, I would survive. I would survive. I would definitely survive. I will survive. I killed Rina for that very reason. I also killed Myun. I went that far just to keep living. So I can't die. For my sake and for the sake of the late Rina and Myun, I have to survive. I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. Doorbell rang again, as if to urge me on. Behind a single solitary door, they were there. Keeping quiet, I headed towards the kitchen, headed towards the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for people outside. No one? After I put my shoes on, I opened the door slowly and as to not make a sound. There he is, the back door! The piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. I had to run. Get out of here, Kichi. This is why you should have worked on legs instead of just swinging your bat. Now then again, I guess the swinging did come in handy. Too soon. One after the other, I felt stuff like rational and intelligence, those things you use when you have time to spare, spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches scratching my arms and forehead. My autonomously pulsing heart also felt neither fatigue nor pain. My entire being just wished to live. There was nothing else it desired. It probably had no complaints whatsoever, so of course I wouldn't feel a fatigue. I just ran. Just recklessly rushing in the direction I was already heading. Even if nobody was chasing after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was headed. Turning around, I felt a presence right behind me. That presence was without a doubt chasing me like the shadows. If I took even one misstep, I would be devoured. That's what I thought, so I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran at full speed. Quack, 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 quack. That was the chirping of a Higurashi telling me it was evening, trying to tell me something, and then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of the victims who didn't make it. Would I be joining them? Quack, 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 quack. Quick save again. Quack, 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 quack. That's like Ducky Momo from Phineas and Ferb. Quack, 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 quack. Only the Higurashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. So I ran towards where I could hear more of the Higurashi's chirps. But the farther I ran, the farther away their chirping became. I couldn't get near them. Why are you running away? Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? Then I'll apologize. I'm sorry. 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 Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I felt that only the Higurashi knew. Holy fetching cow, this is... Usually I can do like 2 small chapters. This is like one really long one. But it is the climax. I can understand why they're keeping it together. Chased by Shadows achievement. The smoking room was filled with a cloud of cigarette smoke. The expensive smoke filter gave off some crackling electric noise, but it didn't seem like it was doing anything at all. Why do smokers have to be shoved so far down this corridor where the sun didn't even reach? I recalled hearing that the tax renew from tobacco was about 1/10 of the municipality revenue. We were the most heavily taxed members of this municipality, so really I wish they'd shown us a little more respect. Who is this? What's going on? Who's smoking? Why didn't you discard the 5 manzu there? It's just decreasing your options. One of the young... Okay, so it's Tsushima. One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with Mandarin magazine called Next Turn. You're still in Tenpai. If you cut the 5 manzu, if you're betting on Hente, then shouldn't you be going into it with a mangon? Guma-chan, look at the pawn. They all discarded a 5 manzu. It's a safe tile. You'd hate it if in endgame someone was sitting on a tenpai on the last turn, wouldn't you? He let out another groan, but put out a cigarette and then took out another one. I just don't agree. Why would you reduce your own options? By the way, you can't call Iran with your winning. Tile is in that high tea. What? Why is that? Just then, I heard the voice coming from down the hall. Are you here, Oshiro-san? You have a call from a civilian. Oh, ain't that something? Well, see you soon. Boop, 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 and cigarette, and smoking kills people. You like fix it. Why can't you call Ron on it? Hold on for a second. Oshi-san! The man sitting in the seat Oshi-san was heading towards waved at the telephone receiver. Outside line, from a payphone. Oh, why thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting, this is Oshi. Who is it? Oh, Orishi-san? Hello? If it isn't Marabura-san! Why, good evening! From the tone of Marabura's voice, I already knew he was in a predicament. This was the first time Marabura phoned me. And he was calling from a payphone? Please calm down, did something happen? Well... His voice was erratic over the line. He had completely lost his sense of composure. After checking that nobody else could hear, I prompted him in a hushed tone. What happened? Calm down, Marabura-san. I can have the local officers head to your location. I'll be there soon, too. I think that's impossible. His voice was quivering and hoarse. He wasn't surrounded by people even as he wasn't surrounded by people as he was making his... Was he? Mo-san, you're calling from a payphone, right? Right now, right? Where is that payphone? There were no other sounds besides Marabura's phones. It had to be a phone booth. I scratched out a note and thrust it on my colleague sitting across from me. Here was on a phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started on the internal lines. Calm down, Marabura-san. What is your current situation? Compromised! Dun 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 dun. It usually wasn't a good idea to tell someone panicking to do so, but this was not a usual case. Marabura didn't get in trouble, get away, and then call me. He was in the midst of something dangerous right now, but yelling at Marabura right now wouldn't just needlessly cause him to be even more frantic. Marabura wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell us something, more than that. And whatever that was, if I didn't get it from this call, I was certain there was never be another chance. My colleague pushed a note in front of me. He drew a penis on the table. There's only one booth in Hiroshima. A patrol car is on the way. 5 minutes. That's too long. How many officers are in there? 2. Not enough. Send in the army. If it was an image, there were likely quite a few people surrounding Marabura. 5 minutes was too long. Did you call the officers stationed at Hiroshima? He's scheduled to be on patrol. They're currently out and it'll be impossible to contact them. Gosh darn it! Kuruma-chan, bring the car around. Understood. Hello? Ushi-san. Hello? It's alright. I can hear you loud and clear. There was something wrong with Marabura. That wasn't a normal coughing sound. Vomiting? Or was it blood? Had he already been attacked? Was he injured? Marabura, the police are on their way. They'll be there in a couple of minutes, so hold on somehow. Hello? Can you hear me? Marabura-san. I could hear on the other end of the line that he was having a coughing fit. Oof. The worst possible situation popped into my head. Marabura-san! Who is the culprit? How many are there? I thought at first the culprit was human. I couldn't tell if that was a cough or vomiting. Are you alright, Marabura-san? I thought that the culprit was a person and not Oshiro-san's curse. Up until right now, but I guess in the end, it was an intense bout of coughing, then vomiting. But I guess Oshiro-san does exist. No, he's here. Marabura-san, please calm down. I had been thinking it was strange for a while now. It's been following me this whole time. I ran and ran and ran, but it just sticks to me like my shadow, but slowly, so slowly. It's digging itself into my back. Marabura-san, are they right now? Perhaps right behind you? Behind me? Right behind me. Please, Marabura-san. I can tell you're scared, but please, who is that right behind you? I can't just look behind me. If I do, I'll... I understand that you're scared, but please tell me. You just need to turn around a bit. Who is it? Who is behind you, Marabura-san? Right after I said that, I couldn't hear him. I could hear him vomiting intensely. What followed was nightmarish sound. Marabura-san, it couldn't be that you're clawing out your own throat? There was no answer, but I could hear something, like scratching. There was a bang, as if something was being hit. Marabura-san probably dropped the receiver. I could hear groaning and vomiting over the other end, and a repeating abnormal voice. Hello? Hello? Marabura-san? Oh, I think someone just yelled at me. Am I doing this too loud? Sorry, neighbors. Marabura-san, hello? I knew how far away I'll go a little bit quieter, just in case. Sorry. My voice would sound on the other end. I couldn't help but shout. At that moment, I heard whispering coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. From the way he was saying it, he was talking to himself. Or was he talking to someone there? Hello? Marabura-san. Rather than whispering, it was some kind of mantra. He was chanting over and over. I focused my sense, trying to pick up what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? Beep. Suddenly the line went dead. Did he use up his time? It was because it was a payphone. It was because it cut out so abruptly. The last thing he said came out so clearly in my mind. Ushi-san, the car is good to go. Ushi-san. I'm sorry. Ushi-san? That's what he was repeating over and over. He said, I'm sorry. I had a gut feeling. There was no longer a need to worry. Hurry. I could hear the chirp of the Higurashi spilling in from the open window. Pew, 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 pew. I shouldn't have been able to hear them this entire time. I just wasn't paying any attention. Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Quick, 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 quick. Were they trying to tell me something? Only the Higurashi knew. That's how I felt. July 1983. In Hirazama, a remote village near Shishobone City, there was a murder involving 2 female students. Oh, I didn't... Okay. There was a suspect called over his 2 female classmates. Ryori Tashi to his friend and beat them to death with his metal bat. Ooh. I'm the criminal! I'm the maniac! The scene of the crime was the suspect's room, the 2nd floor of his house. The inside of his room was covered with significant quantities of splattered blood, and there were signs of a struggle with the victims. In addition to the scene of the crime, the entryway, living room, kitchen, all had traces of his struggle. At the entryway, the shoe rack and wall had evidence of being impacted by strong blunt force. It is believed to have been the same bat as the murder weapon. Having no traces of blood, it is believed the destruction occurred before the murders. There is the possibility that the suspect overpowered his victims to keep them from fleeing. Oof. In the living room, the rug had been pulled back, then thrown aside. It is hard to believe that this had a connection to the struggle with the victims, and thus the reason for this remains unknown. Who is looking under my rug? In the kitchen, the garbage bag was torn apart, and its contents were spread out. On the floor, garbage was strewn about in the surrounding area. Handprints believed to belong to the suspect were discovered. It is believed that the suspect had, for some reason, taken out the garbage and struck it with his fists. The reason for this remains unknown. In addition, there was a note stuck to the fridge. The words, "Was there a needle?" were written on it. The meaning behind this remains unclear. Just in case, the garbage was searched, but a needle was not discovered. Though the garbage door was functional, it had been left open ever since the suspect moved in. The garage door was found closed. The suspect's fingerprints were discovered on the garage door. The reason behind this remains unknown. The suspect fled the scene of the crime. However, a patrolling officer who was on found the suspect collapsed inside a phone booth. At the time of discovery, the suspect was unconscious in critical condition. He was rushed to the local hospital for treatment, but did not regain consciousness and died 24 hours later. The results of the autopsy indicated the imminent cause of death to have been hypovolemic shock. It was determined that the suspect had clawed at his own throat with his fingernail and the resulting bleeding caused his death. With a similarity to the death of Tomoko-san the prior week, the police believe that to be the connection and have opened an investigation. However, due to the wishes of the local authorities, it will be confidential investigation due to the abnormal nature of the death. It was suspected that drugs were involved, but as with Tomoko-san, no traces were discovered. What prompted all this remains inexplicable. As such, this case is being treated as an act of committed on impulse. However, with several accounts of the suspect's bizarre behavior leading up to the incident, it's possible that this was premeditated. Separated from his group of friends, isolation, inexplicable behavior. Several days before the incident, the suspect began carrying around a metal bat. The suspect was observed displaying aggressive behavior as well as talking to himself at school. His classmates have actually heard portions of what he was saying. 2 days before the incident, the suspect declared his parents the possibility of his death. Due to these circumstances, the police had begun an investigation of the possibility that the crime had not committed on impulse, but was instead planned several days in advance. Afterwards, oh, it's my note. I wonder if that actually says a note was found at a suspect's room and had written himself. The note was written on 2 sheets from a B5 college ruled notebook that had been each torn in half, and it was trying to conceal it, was stuck behind the clock. The contents are written in the appendix. The police believe it to be a struggle related to the incident. The police charged their line of investigation based on the possibilities that the suspect was involved in some sort of incident himself. However, no further clues were found, casting doubt on the credibility of the note. Was the crime impulse or premeditated? With the simulation unclear and no further development, the case has been labeled as unresolved. However, the following year, suspicion arose regarding the nature of the note. So this is a year later. The note was not written on 2 blanks of B5 from 2 separate sheets, but was originally a single sheet of B5 paper. In order to erase several lines from the middle, someone had torn them out. Judging from the size of the letters in the missing section, it is estimated to be 2 to 3 lines. It is highly probable the person who eliminated the lines in question is not the suspect. In addition, judging from the traces of large quantities of cellophane tape being stuck to the back of the clock, it's speculation that something other than the note was stuck there has been taken. The person who first discovered the crime was a detective rumored to have connection with the incident, Higurashi. He underwent involuntary questioning, but denies involvement in any damage to the note. The suspect's notes. Oh, do I have to push a button? I, Kichimaru, am in fear for my life. I do not know why they are after my life. The only thing I do know is that it has to do with Oshiro-sama's curse. Many men are conspirators of the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. Oh yeah, something was removed right there. This is all on the first sheet. Everything below this had been ripped out. This is from the second sheet. Everything above this had been ripped out. I have no idea why it has become like this. If you are reading this, then I probably have already died, though the only difference may be the presence of a lack of a body. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth. This is my only desire. Kichi Maribura. What was ripped out? Because we watched him write everything, so what was ripped out? Freaking... I freaking love that game. A new scenario has unlocked. All cast review session has become available. To play it, select extra on the title screen and then click all cast review. Wait, cast? Please uncover the truth. Extra. Oh, does it just explain every character? Thank you for buying Higurashi When They Cry, Onigakushi, a visual novel of the 7th expansion. How was it? If you enjoyed it even a little bit, it would make me happy. Even a little bit is even a little bit is stretching it.
That incredibly dark ending made me angry, you know.
Made us angry. Made us angry. As I understand it, this Onigakushi chapter is supposed to be somewhat of a prologue to the entire series. How could the prologue have such an incredible... Oh,
how could the prologue have such an incredibly dark ending?
Yeah, but doesn't that happen sometimes? The players digging through the story in order to avoid a bad ending in the point of these types of games, after all. It's still just the first chapter. I'm looking forward to the next one. What happens in the next chapter? Reno, do you know? This is like an anime like next time, kind of like they do a Demon Slayer. Yeah, they said the next chapter will introduce another aspect of the story. That's a strange way of putting it.
What does that mean?
In this chapter, they introduced the string of mysterious deaths that were happening in Hirozama recently, right? The next chapter will introduce some of the history of Hirozama. With one strange event happening after another, I got totally lost. I hope you don't lose your head over that. Too soon? What is exactly Oshima-sama's curse about? Actually, what is Oshima-sama to begin with? It didn't explain it much. I haven't heard much. I kind of have a bad feeling about it. It feels like we'll be another one of those scary stories where somebody gets cursed again. Tough. Look at Kichi-chan. What kind of curse is he gonna get hit with this time? However, I am looking forward to seeing what kind of story it's going to be. Hello. Sorry for being late. My bad.
He lives! Shoki-san lives! And his abs are as firm as ever.
Hey, everybody. Good work today. Same to you. Where's Ki-chan? Ki-chan is already off reading the script for the next chapter. It must be hard being the main character. Huh? That's too bad. He could have at least poked in to say hello. It's probably because he doesn't have any character art, so he couldn't speak his head even if he wanted to. Poke his head out even more. Ki-chan, that's what we refer to as a personal problem. In any case, that story really was a lot of trouble, especially for Ki-chan. I mean, you died, though.
Trouble? That was the mother of all bad ends.
Oh, you think that's the worst ending? This series has got some stuff in store for us. I wonder what was the identity of the thing that attacked Ki-chan-kun. My theory is that it was the work of people made to look like a curse. But at the end, Ki-chan made that phone call. Yeah. I also thought that call was strange. At that point, Ki-chan should have been certain that the culprits were people. There really was a strange phone call. It almost sounded like he was being chased by a ghost or something. Just from that phone call, it really makes me think that it was the work of a curse after all. Since we're all here, why don't we all share our theories? Let's start with Sanazuki-san. I absolutely believe it was people. I think it was a man-made incident that was just imitating the strange folklore floating around Hirozama. Certainly, every year, on the day of the festival, another link in the chain for a mysterious death happens certainly is suspicious. That so-called chain of mysterious deaths is definitely somebody trying to reenact the folklore, definitely.
I think it was the curse.
Looking at the scene where Ki-chan went berserk in the entryway and the last scene with the phone call, I just couldn't come to a conclusion that a person was the culprit. When you say it that way, it really wasn't the type of scene that would make you think it was a work of an actual person. Yeah, but even then, I still think it was a person who did it. The last scene and the one with the entry door, I think it might have been a delusional episode brought about by post-traumatic stress disorder.
I wouldn't know what's going on anymore, even if it didn't use such complicated words.
PTSD, honey. In other words, Ki-chan was so scared that he was imagining things. Then what was the meaning behind that scene? What exactly was the mysterious presence behind Ki-chan? A red herring. Herring. Michan, what do you mean by red herring? Like old man Tonga-san here said, the scene was the result of Kichan having stress-induced delusions from being mentally cornered. To expand on that a bit further, it was a ploy to make the player think it was a curse. That's why it was a red herring. When you say it like that... But... well, just means that there's... means that there's one possibility. In any case, the theory that Oshiwa-san proposed during the story, that it was a conspiracy by the villagers, was correct. What does the main man himself have to say about that? Me? Oh, it makes you think, eh? Huh, I totally thought that Oshiwa-san would be behind the people's explanation. During the story, I said it was definitely the work of people, but if a person really was to blame, that leaves a lot of loose ends. Like what? Let us hear what Detective Ushi-san's theory is. First of all, if a human is the culprit, then there was to be a motive. In other words, somebody has to gain something from it. So what you mean is, this was the work of people, there would have to be something gained from causing the chain of mysterious deaths. Exactly. I felt that somebody could have been benefited from the deaths of people related to the dam development, but that recent victim weren't related to that at all. First off, who benefits from killing Kichan-kun? I see. If you say it like that, my case is kind of weak too. I mean, none of your money was stolen. There's no way it was a human culprit. But that's just not everything there is to it, right? Like Michan said, is this gonna be a full-fetching chapter of this? My voice is already giving out. It's almost been going for 3 hours. Right, like Michan just said, there might have been some sort of reason for them to reenact the folklore. Exactly! This wasn't a murder where you consider the typical motive. It makes me think that this was most likely some sort of ritualistic murder. Okay, this music isn't matching with this dialogue. Some ritualistic murder to reenact the blood-stained history of the village. Coffee? So I'll ask the question of the hour. Who gains from this reenactment? It's not about simple benefits, it's more psychological reason. I think that maybe this was an act of revenge. Something native to the region. Fate was unable to be fooled this time around. I see. A member of some repressed family looking to air out an old grudge of their ancestors, something like that. I don't like that. Then what could it be that you're leaning towards? The curse explanation, Oshiwa-san? That's right. The man playing the detective said so. It's decided. It was a curse. If, like how Mirabura said during the story, it was the case that Oshiwa-san possessed Rina-san and Sonozaki-san and committed those acts, that would fit the evidence the most. As much as I hate to say it. Actually, I'm same opinion as Oshiwa-san. I can't come up with any other explanation for the normally kind Rina and Mina-chan to suddenly start acting strange like that. About that, it would sound strange coming from the person herself, but I think that Myun, did it. She confesses! I don't get it. What Mina is saying, I liked an explanation. Oh, sorry. In other words, I think this may end up being a real cruel story. Wait, Mi-chan, you don't mean... If you follow the trail of evidence to the very end, that's how it would seem. I also have my suspicions. In other words, Rina-san and Sonosuke-san both actually had those personalities to begin with, and were merely deceiving Mirabura-san. Am I right? I don't like that at all. Wog! This is all Curse's fault. Rina-san and Myuna and everyone else are all kind, nice people. Except me. I think that too. I think that Rina and Myun-chan are really good people at heart. I think that during the story, they definitely were possessed by something. Yeah, but then Myun was just like, I should have killed that fat oaf a year ago. Like, so that's kind of pretty condemning evidence. So Rina also thinks it was a curse. Then let me ask everybody who thinks it was a curse. There has to be a reason for a curse, right? I don't think there would be something discriminating cursing everything. Can somebody explain that? A curse is a curse. Human logic won't get us anywhere. Aha, Satoko-chan! A personified deity is, in the end, nothing more than a creation of people. That's why their method of thinking is also understandable to humans. Just take a look at the Greek pantheon. They cry, get angry, get jealous, basically, they're just like humans. So what you're saying is that Ushio-sama is cursing people with some benefit in mind? That's an odd way of putting it, but basically yes. That's what they say, far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. I've never heard that before. You don't have a point. You do have a point. Basically, it doesn't matter if it's Ushio-sama's or humans. There has to be a reason. It's the squirt, it's the Higurashis, it's the bugs. But Rika... Oh, but Rika, what if that reason isn't clear? I don't know. That's right. This is still just the prologue. Yeah, this was the fetching prologue. 12 hours of... probably like 15 hours now of prologue? Still stuff that hasn't been revealed yet. Yeah, it's hard to come up with any more theories at this point. No, I won't be satisfied until this is all made clear.
Miran-san seems rather peculiar about this as well.
Hahaha, we'll just make the best with what we know. Doesn't this feel interesting, like the club a little bit? Ah, yeah, if you put it that way, it does seem interesting. Oh, the intense battle music. Well then, let's summarize. Let's see. I think it was a curse. Tomoko-san thinks it was people, right? Yeah, I'll go with it being people. I also agree with the people explanation. That's not to say I hate such fantastic things like curses, but in this particular case, the connection to a curse is a little weak. 2 for the people explaining then. Mina-san was on the curse side of things, right? Yep, Satoko-chan and I believe it was a curse, right?
Yeah, I think it was a curse. People who say that Rina and Mion were evil to begin with are more befitting of a curse.
Well, I don't want to believe that my own personality was that twisted, but I have to be cool when I'm in club mode. If I base my choices on just emotion, I'll regret it, you know? Well now, it doesn't really matter, which side you pick it, does it? Rika-chan hasn't said anything yet. What do you think? I don't think that Urashima-san is a bad god. That's an interesting opinion. I don't want to worship some bad god that just curses people. I'd like a generous god, more than one that curses. Just one that doesn't swear, those kind of curses. That's right, Rika-chan is a shrine maiden. Yep, good opinion. Then what? If Rika-chan doesn't believe that it was Ushio-sama, then do you think the perpetrators were all human after all? We'll just go with that. Interesting. Well now, that means the votes are split right down the middle. So half of us think it was the curse and the half of us think it was people. Rina-chan, just for reference, what did the test players who played the beta version think? Yeah, there were a lot of players who believed in the people explanation. See, right there, our veteran comrades are cool, collected, and very observant. But the beta version only finished partway through the story. That's right, even the people who played the beta might change their minds if they got through to the very end.
Oh, how long does this go on?
Like, I'm liking it, but like, my voice hurts. What should we do then? This means that the opinions are still split. It's no fun if we don't settle this. We need there to be an odd number of judges. In other words, we need one more opinion. Is he gonna let me decide? Perfect timing. Then why don't we ask Kichon-kun himself? Let's call him. The opinion of the victim himself is very valuable.
Since that decides it's our time for the prone.
We can talk to ourselves? They just use the phone, the police phone again. Hello, Gichun-kun? It's Rina. Are you busy with work right now? Yeah, really busy. Just when I thought I'd get a break because the chapter's over, it's already time for the next one. How's Kichan? Busy? Yeah, he's moping. I can hear you, you know. It must be nice having a wrap-up party. I want to go too. Then why didn't ya? You could come if you get some character art for yourself. I'll be, here, let me just put myself here. I am character art, yeah. Recon, that's a secret. Ah, sorry about that, Kichan-kun. Anyway, during the current chapter, Kichan-kun, didn't you die? We were just talking about who the culprit might be. Basically, we've deadlocked on whether it was people or Oshiro-sama's curse that killed you. I'm really sorry, even though you are busy reviewing your script. Kichan-kun, which do you think it was? That's obvious, isn't it? Which? Isn't it both of them? Targeted by suspicious people from the village, and then cursed by some strange Oshiro-sama on top of that. It's both humans and curse. Everybody's just picking on me. So, very, very pitiful. Next time, I'll pat you on the head for you. So yeah, that was his viewpoint in the story, is that, like, he did believe it, but he also still believed there were other people involved. In the end, the opinion— I still thought that was the end. It was fading to black. Why isn't this the end? End already, please. Make all the emotions, make it stop. In the end, the opinion's still split, huh? Let me just rest my head. Let me just rest my head on your shoulder. Let me just— I don't want this anymore. Let me go to— let me get some rest. In the end, the opinions— I think I'll think this over. We might have missed something. Just let it end. Well then, please, look forward to the next release, Higurashi When They Cry. I so wish I could have played this at, like, release. But I think it's over. Oh, bug. Well, I guess I now have to give my opinion on this, don't I? Okay. So it's been a while since I've seen the anime. So, while I do technically know the ending, I'm gonna base an assumption off what we know from this. So what we know— are there any new tips? Nope, there's no new tips. Okay, so what we know is basically Kichan shows up. Everyone leaves him alone until the very moment he starts learning about it. Even as soon as he found out about the dam, people started acting weird around him. Rita acted a little bit weird. But then again, like, they only acted weird once he asked about it. So, I guess. But still, like, the tone shifted in the story as soon as he found out. There's definitely a tone difference. To imply, like, something was changing. And so, later on, when he starts talking to Rina, and he wants to get answers and keeps pushing her, that's when he first gets introduced to her, like, devil form, where she's very, like, blunt, no emotion, except laughter. Or her psychotic state, which is similar to when she broke all those windows and beat her friends. And then it appears that Mion also has that, except hers is not to the same degree as Rina. And if we apply that, like, well, Rina left Azama and was still affected in some weird way. Something made her break at that point. So we can apply that is a curse. Because if it were people, why would these, like, murderers track down a girl who left and somehow mentally break her to do that? So I think, so with that though, like, that's kind of like the hitch in the story for me, where it's just like, it would have to be both. Yeah, it would definitely have to be, well, yeah, it would have to be both. Because at the end of the story, the police found a ripped up note that was missing a section. Now, Kichan did mention he ripped his note when he was taking it out of the clock. But I don't think it said it ripped all the way through. I think he said he teared it a little bit. maybe in his like psychotic state he was in when he was panicking so much, there's a chance he actually ripped it out and didn't realize. But then the syringe that even the police said was something was thoroughly taped in there is gone. So there is nothing there. So that means someone got to the house first and cleaned up the evidence. And it is interesting that the police are treating it like he is the murderer, which technically he is, but if you look at all like the actual evidence of it was clear signs that he was in fear for his life. He felt like he was under attack. Oshiro-sama was even in contact with him, telling him like the things that Rina has done. He knows that there's murders going on. He called in a panic and fear, which was never brought up in the official charges, which is interesting. In the official evidence, they did not mention that he called Ushi-san right before he blacked out. Then the question is, it's like, so he cut out his own throat, and Tomoki-san also did that. So they suspect drugs, but the drugs were never. Maybe I should like go into like just chatting or something. Actually, I don't have one of those set up. I need to set one of those up. But basically, so since that's the way they both died in similar ways, both died essentially fighting. It is possible that he was somehow maybe injected without knowing. Well, no, he was injected, and then he actually felt no. So she grabbed him, and then it felt like he got hit with like a bat, or like he got hit with something hard. So actually, that could be. He actually could have just been injected at that point. Yeah, that would explain why he blacked out. Because like he was scared. He's been in scary situations before, and he was like when he was threatened by Rina. We talked to like Mirun about the needle and such. So it's clear that what was like going on again? He can. Well, his knees break underneath him. He doesn't pass out. Like he didn't black out when he was like he only got blacked out during when he was attacked because someone was strangling him. So I would say it would. Well, I would say it would have to be both. Because while all the other evidence points at people, Rina is the outlier in this entire story. She's the one that's like, it doesn't make sense. Well, it would make sense if they followed the pattern. But the thing is, though, is that, as far as we know, the story, she still has her full family that left Hiroshima. How would she know what it is at such a young age? So I would definitely imply like it's probably both. So yeah, that is chapter 1, the prologue. We will start chapter 2 next week. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you like it. I will check out Legendary Anime JP Fans channel too. And should see what kind of content he's got. And I hope you all have a good day, and I hope you enjoy the stream. Yeah.